TNT presents NASCAR. Tonight from the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, it's the LifeLock.com 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It has turned into a beautiful evening here in Joliet, a packed house expected to watch the stars of NASCAR go 400 miles here at Joliet. Let's check in with Lindsay Zarniak.
Bill, last week was the first time that Jeff Burton has finished out of the top 15 all season. Last night you ran the nationwide race here at Chicago, finished 8th. Was there anything that you learned that can apply to tonight's race?
Well, I think a little bit, not a whole lot. Those cars are so different than these cars, but we understand how a car started and then kind of where it went. So, it sounds weird, but we got to look at the track in night conditions. I know it sounds odd, but the track looks different at night, and sometimes the vision of things really impacts the way you drive. So I have a good understanding about what I'm going to be looking at, and I know that sounds silly, but that helps me.
Jeff Burton starts third tonight, Bill.
Thanks, Lindsay. There are 15 drivers in tonight's 43-car field that raced in the Nationwide Series here last night at Chicagoland, a race that was won by Kyle Busch. All of the past Chicagoland winners are in the starting field. Should be a lot of fun. The 43 cars lined up on pit road, the fans heading to their seats. Right now, let's take you trackside and join this evening's pre-race ceremonies leading up to the green flag.
Chicagoland race fans, won't you please rise and remove your hats as Company E 4th Reconnaissance Battalion out of Joliet, Illinois, our nation's heroes, present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Director of Raceway Windy City Ministries, Glenn Spoolstra, offers tonight's invocation.
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this beautiful day and the opportunity to celebrate Richard's experiences. Lord, we just thank you for your protection and your safety. We just ask that we can have a great time. But Lord, we thank you for this country and the fact that because of this great country, the military that protects us, we can be here. We thank you for your plans for us, and we look forward to what you're going to do tonight. In your gracious name we pray. Amen.
Remain standing for tonight's national anthem. Please welcome J Records recording artist Gavin DeGraw.
This past Wednesday, led by Representative Karen Ray, the North Carolina House and Senate unanimously passed a joint resolution honoring our buddy, Benny Parsons. VP's wife, Terry, was there. So were Benny's sons, Keith and Kevin, along with their wives, and Benny's 2 granddaughters, along with Phil Parsons' daughter. The resolution was first filed in February of 2007 and went through a 13-step process to reach the House floor. BP was honored for his contributions to the state of North Carolina, his involvement in charitable and community organizations, and his contributions to motorsports. The General Assembly saluted the memory of Benny Parsons and extended its deepest sympathy to the Parsons family. Today, yes, today, would have been Benny's 67th birthday. And if he knew he was being honored by the state of North Carolina, I can just hear the big fella say, "Now, Weber, that's big. We miss you, BP." Picture perfect night here in Joliet for the LifeLock.com 400 Chicagoland Speedway. Getting set to go back downstairs for some more trackside activities. Before we do that, stories from pit road. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
You know, Bill, as brilliant as the engineers are on these race teams, sometimes they still stumble upon a setup. Tony Gibson, crew chief for Mark Martin, told me that's how they found this week's setup. They used it at Phoenix, then Richmond, then Pocono and Michigan. And it's good here as well. Matt Yoakum.
Ralph, Greg Bethel just trying to get back into victory lane. His last win came on an intermediate style track, sort of like Chicago back in 2007, the fall, 24 races ago. Now his team, as well as the other Roush cars, are all very strong in final practice. They're just trying to get over some hiccups that have cost them a chance at some wins, but they feel like their car has enough adjustability built in, so when the sun goes down, you should see the 16 car up near the front. Lindsay?
Matt, Kurt Busch loves coming to Chicago, not just because he's a Cubs fan, of course that helps, but because even though they haven't won here at Chicagoland, he has finished with 5 top 10s. Kurt said he's not entirely pleased with the car as it is now, but they're confident they can get it to where it needs to be quickly. Marty?
Well, Lindsay, for the first time since it left victory lane, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is driving the car that he won with at Michigan. He told me moments ago, I feel like we haven't been very good lately, but I think it could change tonight because this car in the first couple practices were excellent. Made a few changes to it today. Hopefully it's good enough to get my second Chicago win. Bill?
Thanks, Marty. Hope all you guys have a great night down there on pit road. The best seat in the house for tonight's LifeLock.com 400. 43 cars poised along pit road. Ahead of them as the sun sets 400 miles on this mile-and-a-half track. Gonna be a lot of fun. Glad you're along for the ride. Right now, let's take you trackside here at the Chicagoland Speedway and get the command for tonight's race.
On behalf of Chicagoland Speedway, I'm Ramblin' Ray. Welcome back tonight's Grand Marshal and star of the new movie Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, acting Brendan Fraser, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
There's a guy that gets it. And if that's the way we're going to start the evening, it can only get better from there. Good command always means an outstanding race, and we're going green when we come back. And we're about to find out who's going to get to victory lane. Cars rolling off of pit road, sun is shining, 76 degrees. Just a small chance of precipitation, but I think all that's moved out. Rained hard here overnight, but not tonight. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dallenbach and Kyle Petty. Thanks for having us in for the race. There are more unknowns going into this race than, say, the Kyle Petty charity ride. This race is at night for the first time. The track has been washed clean by the rain, and the new car is here. That's all. That's it.
And, you know, although I think with this race car on this racetrack, these guys are going to be searching all over for grip. We always talk about a green racetrack. When the rain washes the rubber off, there's no grip. But there's no grip with these cars to begin with. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Also, we're starting by points. We've seen this act again, and that's going to be a deal where there's going to be guys really good and really bad, and they're just going to be waiting to get to that first caution so they can make adjustments on the car. And the guys that are running good don't want to ever see that caution come.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And just like Wally said, the guys that are running up front, they don't want to see a caution. The guys in the back, they want to see an early caution so that they can adjust to this car. Now, the big problem is, just like Wally said, there's no qualifying, there's no anything. Tony Stewart made the comment, that Nationwide car that he drove stuck like an open-wheel car. This car feels like it's got 4 flat tires. So look to Tony to come to pit road early, man.
We'll see what happens. All the practice for this race was done during the daylight hours. Take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race, brought to you by Miller Lite. There you see the front row. It was set by points. And the NASCAR rulebook. And as we go through the starting grid, Wally's going to jump on the radio.
Let's see if I can get a hold of David Reagan. Hey, David, this is Wally up in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 10-4, I got you.
Your guys' cars look awfully good. A lot of people are talking about the Roush cars. A lot of people are talking about maybe you getting your first win here. What do you think?
Well, our AAA Ford's pretty fast, Jimmy Finning, and the whole team's really worked hard on our mile-and-a-half program. We feel like we have a pretty fast Ford for tonight, and you know, we'll just see. Obviously, we practice during the day. We'll see what the evening brings us underneath the lights here in Chicago, but we just got to get some points. If we can put ourselves in contention for that first win, it sure be a lot of fun to do it here tonight.
You know, with the weather and everything that came in, is there any concern from you guys that really it's a green racetrack, or because of this race car, it doesn't make too much of a difference anymore?
We've got all that figured out. You know, we've got a competition yellow here, lap 35, and I think that, you know, we're all on the same racetrack. We've just got to get out here and start making some laps. The rubber will get down pretty quick, and once we're 10 laps into this thing, we won't even be thinking about a green racetrack.
All right, David, good luck from the booth.
Thanks.
Let's check in with Larry McReynolds.
You and Wally and Kyle, you've been talking about the changes that this racetrack is going to be going through, especially as it cools down. And we talked about all the rubber being washed off, so there's a lot of changes will have to be made. These crew chiefs, they're going to have to get aggressive with adjustments, even if their car's driving good, to keep up with the track changes. They'll be making wet changes. They'll be making track bar changes. They'll be maybe making an air pressure change. Get real aggressive. You may have to yank a rubber out of a spring. Now, Lindsey Zarniak is with a crew chief that knows all about making adjustments to keep up with the racetrack, because it's what won him the longest race of the schedule back in May.
Larry, Kenny Francis is Casey Kane's crew chief. You've done it before, Kenny. How do you manage the unknowns here at Chicago?
Well, there's going to be a lot of unknowns tonight. You know, typically this track's pretty slick, but hopefully our Budweiser Dodge will be pretty good. You know, you'll see a lot of adjustments tonight, I think. One of the things I think you'll see is people putting some tape on the grill because it's going to cool down a lot. And you might see some spring rubbers in the right rear, stuff like that, which is pretty typical for a, you know, day and a night race. But it's going to be different. You know, it was hot and slick yesterday when we practiced, so we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully it'll be a good night.
Kenny Francis will lead Casey Kane, who's never finished better than 23rd here at Chicago, Bill.
Thanks, Lindsey. Just about a half a lap before we go green. Going to the back of the field, the 78 for a blown motor, and the 96 really came out of inspection.
The 96 came out of inspection about a minute and a half before the gentlemen start your engines. One time, many years ago, it's a Kyle Petty story. Gary Nelson and I pulled a bunch of weight out at Pocono. They let everybody run their pace laps. We sat in the garage area. When they threw the green flag, NASCAR let us leave the garage area and get in line after they threw the green flag. So this, at least they let him out and get in line.
You didn't do that again, did you?
Never did it again. 96 probably won't ever do whatever they just did again. I'd like to find out what it is before the night's over.
We'll work on that. 267 laps. Again, qualifying here was rained out. The field set by the NASCAR rulebook. That's basically points, so the guys high in points are at the front of the field. All the practice here was done during the daylight hours. Hope you've been enjoying the TNT Summer Six-Pack. It's been a blast for us. We got one more to go, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Green flag at Chicagoland. Busch leads the first lap. Black flag, 96, pass-through penalty for removing weight.
I've never heard that before.
Wonder who tried that one time before and got busted.
And they'll never do it again.
Never do it again. Never do it again. And you know, NASCAR really follows that. They didn't used to. You could get by with little things like that, but as particular as they are, man. And this just adds insult to injury for this team.
You want to explain what the point of that is?
The point of that
Not
is
that you would ever do it again.
So the point is so you never forget. Here he comes. And this will just put him a lap down right off the bat. So instead of penalizing him before the race starts, it just puts him behind 8 balls from the beginning.
14th race led this season by Kyle Busch. That's the most of all drivers. And again, we will repeat, he did win the nationwide race here last night. Matt Kenseth in the 17 with the USG colors tonight. Denny Hamlin in the FedEx 11. Battle for second. Carl Edwards takes it from Dale Earnhardt Jr. heroes. Jeff Burton in the 31, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, his teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24.
Burton's dropping back a few positions.
Well, let's go back and look at this.
See Burton down on the bottom and Carl Edwards on top. Well, I don't think Burton even knew he was there. He was just driving up the racetrack like he was using his line and just ran right into it.
And still 3 or 4 laps into the race, that bottom line is still a fast line. I don't think he expected anybody to go to the high side of the racetrack.
And Jeff Burton's car was not very good here in practice.
Right side tires on it, knock the fenders out.
Michael McDowell found the wall already.
Tell you what, a lot of these guys early look like they're very loose. You can see these guys down on the bottom and all of a sudden slide up a lane. And that's because they're not getting any rear grip. And I've seen about 5 cars jump out of line already because they're loose.
Larry talked about it in his keys to the race. You know, rolling through the center of the corner. I think what these guys are fighting right now is just getting into the corner. They're so free getting in the corner, like Wally says. They're just going in and letting the cars go to the top side of the racetrack. And this is with 6 laps on a set of tires.
Cars on the move forward. A.J. Allmendinger, Martin Truex Jr., and Greg Biffle. Clint Boyer's lost about 9 spots. Reed Sorensen about 6. Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon.
This looks familiar. Remember when these two were running nose to tail and somehow the 24 got in the back of the 17? I don't know how that happened, but here we are early in the race and it's the same thing.
If you ask the 2 drivers, you got 2 different versions.
2 totally different versions. Well, that's because one was looking out the back glass and one was looking out the front.
I think we can go back and take a look and see what happened to Michael McDowell. That 00 car.
Oh! Now there's a typical getting loose and hanging on, but unfortunately, McDowell was on the high side.
And it's getting loose, getting in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting loose, getting into the corner. And then, you know, it's going to be a long day when these cars are driving that bad, appear to be this early, and he's already setting the toe.
And he ran over his air hose.
Yeah.
Leffler would have been in the wall if it wasn't for that 00 being there.
Earnhardt looking at the high groove. Kenseth started 9th. He's up to 5th.
And it's amazing how long they're off the throttle.
Yes.
I mean, it used to be you get off the throttle going into the corner here, and I mean a second or 2 and you're matted.
Yeah.
You know, you're back in it, and these cars, just like the old cars back in the 70s.
Like the old cars.
Forever they're out of the throttle.
If you watched the nationwide race last night with some of their stuff, you could hear them and they were on, off, on again. That's how much downforce. And that's just the difference in downforce and grip. You got to lay off and let the car settle into the corner.
Kenseth trying to get inside of Earnhardt.
Got him.
There's your race leader, Kyle Busch, by about 1.3 seconds. Early at Chicagoland in the LifeLock.com 400. TNT Sports live at the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. 15 laps are complete. Kyle Busch is the race leader. Here's tonight's AT&T Race Talk poll question. Can't wait to see how the results come out on this. Will a Stewart-Haas racing driver make the chase in 2009? Text the word race to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and vote, because we want to know what you think.
That's a good question, though.
That is a good question.
That's a good question.
Are you going to vote?
I'm voting in my head.
Yeah.
Yes?
It's staying there for now.
Okay, all right.
But I feel good about my vote.
Carl Edwards runs second behind Kyle Busch. 15 of the 18 races this season have been won from a top 10 starting spot, including the 3 previous races where qualifying was canceled. Check in with Marty Snyder.
Well, up front, Kyle Busch enjoying his customary position, Bill, right up there in the lead. He said his car turns much better than it did in practice yesterday. Their big concern was where they're headed to right now, turn 3. There's bumps all over the Chicagoland racetrack. Many of them talked about the ones in turn 1, but Kyle said the ones in turn 3 were worse for him yesterday. He told Steve Addington on the radio, guys, we made that part of the racetrack much better. Just a little tick tight in the center of the corner, keeping it out front and in the wind.
Kyle Busch has got to be the loneliest NASCAR driver ever. He's led so many laps, he never sees anybody in front of him for 2/3 of the race. He just runs on a clean racetrack.
And that's a good place to be.
That's a good place to be.
There's nothing wrong with being lonely.
Yeah, it's got to be lonely. He's the Maytag guy.
Ralph Shaheen.
Well, things are going just fine for the 99 of Carl Edwards. He's right where he wants to be. Car's pretty good, just a little free in, a little free off, and a touch tight in the center. But that's not really any different than most of the guys you talk to up and down pit road. He's very comfortable with the car, and he's just pacing himself right now.
Pacing himself because he can't catch Kyle.
Yeah. But that's what you say when you can't catch anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just pacing myself, guys. Don't worry. He'll come to me.
It's like when you qualify bad and you say, and you say that, it's like no big deal. You know, qualifying's not that important. When you qualify 90th, qualifying's not that important here. But you know what? The one thing, and we talked about this, and this racetrack is a complete circle. I mean, even the backstretch, it's not straight. You arc out towards the wall and then you come back in. And the corners are so great here. We've heard them talk about the COT a lot of times. Loose in, tight in the middle, loose off. Well, the corners are so big here. When it's free in, it's free for a long, long way. And when it's free off, it's free for a long, long way. So you want it to be a little snug, but you can't stand it to push for a long way either.
But like I said, too, you can't be loose in. If you start off loose in, you're done. I mean, you've got to get an adjustment there. And we see these guys already. They're all over which is I like about this car is they're using all the racetrack. Used to be, you know, everybody would be in one line on the bottom and nobody would pass. Right now we've got guys running all the different lanes, and what they're doing, they're just searching for any kind of grip they can find with these Goodyear tires. Earnhardt's a little bit, I don't think there's any grip that high yet.
Yeah, and that was a good shot from Junior's car because you saw where the black was, and he went up into the gray above the black with his right side tires.
It looks like Denny Hamlin's car down the backstretch is off the pace. He's gotten back in line now, but he lost a number of positions.
Well, what we've been seeing, it was just like the 70 car. These guys are losing it big, and they got to catch their breath and regroup. And when you do that, 4 or 5 guys are going to pass you, you know, at this stage of the race because everybody's lined up.
And one car that's really starting to move through the field is the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Harvick's in the 10th spot. Kyle Busch is up front. Started on the pole after they rained out qualifying. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Kyle Busch, the race leader. 27 laps are complete. NASCAR looking at a competition caution at lap 35 after the rain washed all the rubber off the track overnight. Fans, if you want to get even more TNT coverage, the Coke Zero in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you vote for and ride shotgun with the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers. Check out the Coke Zero in-car camera on NASCAR.com's Race Buddy. You can cast your vote now. I'd vote for that shot.
I like that shot.
It's Kevin Harvick.
See the driver's eyes. It's very, you know, this is the only time you really get a clear visor on a driver is during a night race.
Matt, how about driver 29?
Bill, he's moved to the high side about 7 or 8 laps ago in both his spotter and then his crew chief Todd Berrier told him you could see the improvement on the lap times as Harvick waves, thinking as he passed by Biffle. The one complaint he has, apparently in final practice, he asked to have the steering wheel column adjusted. But he told the team he thinks that actually they went the wrong way. Instead of moving the wheel farther away from them, they moved it closer, so it's very hard for him to steer.
That's never good.
No, and especially when you're used to a steering column being in one place. When you move it, when somebody moves it on you, it makes you mad as a driver.
Does, and you think about it every second of the lap.
Yeah,
it's just. I think eventually you get used to it, but at first it's very aggravating.
It's like when your radio is hung and is squelching the whole time, and you just hear it's like somebody's on your radio. It just makes you mad, man. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it to you, but it just makes you mad lap after lap after lap.
That's Harvick getting 8th from Casey Kane. Started 13th, Kevin did. Next car in line would be Jeff Gordon, that 24. The Nicorette paint scheme this week. Lindsay, how about Casey Kane?
Casey Kane's feeling pretty good right now about his car. I know when I went in there this morning, they were a little bit nervous, not sure what to expect. He was 6th in final practice, and so Casey reporting some tight conditions, but right now he's not saying so much. Just feels good in that high line, Bill.
Thanks, Lindsay. Martin Truex Jr. in that one car. Marty, we talked a little bit about the 11 car. You got anything on that?
Yeah, a lot, and he's been quite active on the radio. He said inside the car, all the dials and gauges just went completely black. He said it's an ignition-related issue. He switched to box B, and it got no better. There's a miss in the engine. Tried to switch back to box A. It got no better again. So they have built a backup ignition box here, and they're going to try, if they need to, put it in the car under the stop. Obviously, they would love to avoid doing that. He has told Mike Ford, the crew chief, it's not getting any better. So if we're going to make this move, we need to do it early to try and make this car a little bit better. He lost 3 spots when that happened, Bill, so he's got a little bit of a miss in the engine. They're going to try and fix it on the stop if they can.
Back to 13.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, and I think I understood Marty correct to say that the engines, or that the gauges went black and blank. You know, and what happens is these gauges that you run at night races, you know, we always run them at Bristol. Didn't run them anywhere else, but they have a little light behind them that lets you really look at the gauges, to be able to see the gauges. And a lot of the gauges that we run, and you don't run them during the day. At daylight races, at Daytona, at Talladega, places like that, you don't run that light. So obviously he's got a miss or an electrical issue, whether it's ignition or whether it's amperage, whatever it is, that. And some of these gauges we run now are more electric than they have been in the past, too. They're not the mechanical, tack-driven. You know, it's driven off the electrical system. So if he's having it this early in the race, it's only going to get worse. It doesn't fix itself.
I didn't know drivers looked at the gauges.
Sometimes we do. Well, when they ask us to look at the gauges, that's when we look at them.
Yeah, when they ask, you got to give them some kind of answer. And look, I can only keep numbers in my head for about 15 minutes, and then they go away. So I just, even when I write them down in my palm before the race, I forget them.
It's like you say, well, what do you want it to be?
Yeah, what should it be? What should it be? Just tell me. What range? Just give me a range.
Oh, yeah, 220 on the water. Yeah, that's it.
That's perfect. Is it spitting something? Do you see something I don't see?
Caution on the Speedway, a competition caution thrown by NASCAR. Again, heavy rain overnight, washing all the rubber off this track. So this will give the teams a chance to change tires, check tire wear. You could not add fuel before this competition caution. J.J. Yaley in the 96 car is the lucky dog.
And he is lucky.
Yes, he is.
Because of a lot of reasons. But Kyle Busch was really starting to put some guys down, or about to put a bunch of cars down. Right. He was catching the back of the pack.
So Yaley will come around and be the 42nd car on the lead lap. And pit road's going to be a very busy place. So the cars down the backstretch. Kyle Busch is the race leader. Then it's Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. the top 5. Tony Stewart from 12th to 6th. Gordon is 7th. Kevin Harvick from 13th to 8th. Martin Truex Jr. from 19th to 9th. And Greg Biffle started 11th. He runs in the 10th position. Tricky entrance to pit road. All 42 cars are going to be down there. Going to be a lot of traffic and not a lot of room down there. Ralph, be careful.
The 99 of Carl Edwards' car is getting a little bit snappy up off the corner, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment and a little bit of an air pressure adjustment as well to dial in the 99. Matt Yoakum.
Ralph, the 2006 winner, Jeff Gordon, says his car has lost the tightness in the center. The biggest issue is just when he tries to get back in the gas. Steve Letarte will try to fix it with a small air pressure change and a track bar adjustment. Lindsay.
Matt, Casey Kane saying the problem he's feeling with his car is that he's tight. He had fallen back to 12, so they're bringing him in. They will make a track bar adjustment, give him tires and fuel, Marty Snyder.
Lindsay, Kyle Busch led all 36 laps just in. His car just a little bit tight out there. His biggest concern, there was paper on the grill. The water shot up to 250, went back down to 220 when it came off. He is the first one out of pit road with 4 tires, but Jeff Burton's the first one off pit road, Bill.
See,
See Bill working the telestrator, Kyle.
How about Bill Weber on the telestrator?
Just doing what I'm told.
That was magic. That was magic.
Bill Weber on the telestrator, ladies and gentlemen.
Gonna have to check on Jeff Burton, and we'll sort out the running order and we come back. Field has just gotten the green flag. The fresh start brought to you by Subway Restaurant. Subway, eat fresh. They charge through turn 1 and 2 and down the backstretch, pulled by Kyle Busch. You saw the race off of pit road. We'll go back and document it for you in a moment, but Jeff Burton had contact on pit road, never got to his pit stall, then was flagged for too fast, restarted 41st. And when this sorts out, we'll show you what happened there. Well, this is what these guys were waiting for. They got 35 laps under green. Got a chance to make some adjustments. Johnson is third, then Kenseth, then Earnhardt. Carl Edwards trying to close in on Kyle Busch. That's for the lead.
Somebody better do something with that 18 car, because if they let him get out there like he did in the first 35 laps, nobody's going to be able to touch him.
Yeah, you just need to get in front of him and disrupt the air or something. You know, but like he just has clean air. Here's Tony Stewart's moved into 5th, and he's just, like I said, he's the loneliest guy on the racetrack because he never sees anybody.
And we talked in our meetings this morning. We saw it in practice here. You get out front, you're very hard to pass. You get clean air, you can be very difficult to get by.
Clean air is really important, you know, and we talk about it all the time, and I know the fans at home get tired of hearing it, but it's really important with these cars. As we see, Carl's got position right here almost. Yeah.
For the lead.
This is tough right here when you're down on the bottom like that and you drive it in. It's so easy to slide up into the car that you're trying to pass.
Couldn't do it.
TiVo this if you're at home. This may be the only time you see the 18 passed all year. But the thing is, these cars don't have a lot of downforce, so they need all the air they can get. You see him ease up on the 18, and the 18 kind of skates off, but he can't do anything with it.
But another thing is, too, you know, you got him a little bit loose there, Kyle, but these cars recover so much better when you get them a little bit loose because they got so much more rear. That wing does help.
That wing helps a ton, and they've got those little plates on it that give you that side bite that you need, that little bit of side force. You know, in the pre-race, we heard Buddy Baker talk about the wing car and how it gave him that little bit extra. It felt like the tail of a plane. And that's what these things do. They give you that tail section to give you that little bit. Ooh, we saw that. Oh, man, Carl's driving that thing right there. He's a little bit sideways. But it gives you that little bit of side force.
You'll drive away.
Denny Hamlin is well off the pace, running around the apron of the track last time by. As we watch the leaders, Edwards did have the lead at the line. So he got the 5 bonus points. Last time down the front stretch, that 11 car of Denny Hamlin was on the apron.
And he could have been on the apron because he was switching boxes or doing something, and he really needed to get out of everybody's way. The 99, now this is reminiscent of how the 99 run the first part of the year.
Marty, how about Hamlin?
Hey, Bill, he says the car just keeps cutting off on him, especially in the corners. Mike Ford said shut off all your accessories, and just now they told him bring it to pit road. This is a big disappointment for the team. They really felt like they had a top 5 car tonight, but it may be an early night for Denny Hamlin.
And he right now, 12th in the chase standings, 18 points ahead of Clint Boyer. That'll change throughout the night, but was running 14th. Now is back in the 42nd position. We talked about Jeff Burton on pit road.
Yeah, and it's, people have to understand, it's very difficult trying to find your pit. You can just see in this shot all the boards and the colors, and you're really trying to find your pit stall. It's pretty difficult sometimes. That's why we have the crew guys. You can see him right there. Wasn't sure where it was. He basically missed his pit and got clobbered by the 26 car of McMurray at the same time.
He missed his pit right there. Boom. Then he turns right and he gets into McMurray.
Listen,
clear the grass.
Listen here. There you see Denny Hamlin trying to nurse that car back to pit road. We heard Burton say, I couldn't see it or I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. And you heard his pit guy say, hit right here, right here, right here. And by that time he was passed. He couldn't get it in his box. He knew it, so he turned right and run into the 26 car.
Caution is out. Denny Hamlin slow. That's between turns 3 and 4.
You're going to have to go to the garage.
Second caution of the night.
Push you to the garage. Your record's coming out now.
And the problem is when these things cut off unexpectedly, and you know it, Wally, when we run and you're out there running and you get a plug check, you know where you need to get the plug check to coast back in. But when it just cuts off on its own, you don't have time to mash the clutch in or knock it out of gear, and it drags enough speed off of it that it won't get back around.
Yeah, he pretty much was done when he came by the start-finish line that time. So he made it that far, but he was really slow when he went by the start-finish line.
I'm surprised he made it that far.
Being told by NASCAR, no lucky dog under this caution. So right now, Denny Hamlin, 12th in the chase standings. That's Hamlin's bumper cam. And slowly down pit road, he'll make the left-hand turn to head for the garage under caution here at Chicagoland. Under caution at Chicagoland in the lifelock.com 400. Most of the field has been to pit road, but Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Brian Vickers stayed out, and so did a couple of others. Let's get some reports from pit road. Here's Ralph.
Well, Matt Kenseth was happy to see that caution come out there, Bill, because his temperature had climbed to 245 degrees. So they swept off the grill, put 2 tires and fuel in the 17, sent him back out, Matt.
And the 11 of Denny Hamlin just sped by, talking about his teammate Tony Stewart. They were going to go fuel only, then they decided to take rights and fuel. Lindsay?
Matt, that's exactly what Martin Truex Jr. did also. They decided on just 2 tires. He's saying his car a little bit tight. They brought him in down. Like I said, 2 tires fuel, swiped off the grill, Marty.
The advantages of having that first pit stall on pit road. Kyle Busch seeing what everybody else did. Steve Addington made the call, fuel only. Behind him, Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus also made the same call. Fuel only for both of these cars. For Kyle Busch, he said his car over-rotates a little bit too much coming off the corner. I believe in driver speak that's a little too loose, isn't it, Wally and Kyle?
Exactly, Marty.
Good, I got one right.
That was nice to call it and say it like that, though. That sounded like very technical.
He's been practicing that all day.
That was very technical.
Over-rotate. Loose.
Gordon, Biffle, Vickers, Newman, Leffler. Top 5 cars on the track now did not pit. Here's tonight's Aflac trivia question. Kyle Busch has led more laps than any other driver. In Sprint Cup racing this season, which driver has led the 2nd most laps this season?
I'll say Denny Hamlin.
The truck should not give hints to the analysts.
I had nobody said a name in my head.
But what did they say?
There's a lot of things going on in my head.
I
don't want to go there.
I was going to say Kyle Busch driving in relief for somebody.
You can see Denny Hamlin has returned to the track. He's led 670 laps. He was too fast exiting pit road. He'll have to drop to the rear. Also looked like Jeff Burton came on pit road while it was still closed to do some additional work after he had that contact under the previous caution. So he'll restart at the tail end of the longest line. So that should put Burton 41st, Denny Hamlin 42nd. Michael McDowell is 5 laps down. He's 43rd. There was no lucky dog on that caution because it would have gone to Hamlin, but he brought out the caution. We go back to green.
Well, we'll see if that clean air is good for the 24 now that he's sitting up front and got the track position. Although Kyle Busch in the 18 is already passing cars.
But really the only difference between the 24 and the 18 is fuel load. Because that was a gas and go for the 18 and a gas and go for the 48.
Whoa.
A lot of traffic there.
Gordon, Biffle, Vickers all stopped on lap 37. The rest of the field lap 50. Newman also on 37, and you saw Leffler going the wrong way in the 70. He was also on pit road, lap 37. Stayed out under this most recent caution.
And this group right here, the 48, gas and go. The 20 took 2 tires. What about the 99? I don't remember what the 99 did.
We'll get Ralph Shaheen to find out for us.
But basically, you've got different strategies. You got the 49 on a fuel load. You got the 12 car that didn't take gas, and you got the 20, and they're all bunched up in this one little place right here.
Johnson trying to get inside of Ryan Newman.
Yeah, Johnson trying to get away from that 12 car as much as possible to get air on his car. These guys are just kind of, finally, Jimmy Johnson clears the 12.
Ralph?
Well, it's really interesting when you talk about the 99 and the 17. I talked to Bob Osborne, the crew chief of the 99, before the day began. He said these two setups are so close that in layman's percentages, there are only 2% difference between Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards. On every stop, they've been exactly the same. So this time, just like Matt Kenseth, 2 tires, no major adjustments, fuel, and he's back out.
Thanks, Ralph. One of his teammates is the new race leader, Greg Biffle, in the 16.
And he just drove that thing around the 24. He drove it down in the corner in the turn 3 and said, this thing's going to stick, and I'm going to take the lead on this one.
Again, Biffle and Gordon did not stop under the most recent caution.
You see Jimmy struggling a little bit there on this overhead shot in the 48 car. Once the 20 got around him with these 2 tires, he's come back.
Yeah, looks like the 2 tires, right move. Wow. Tony Stewart. Yep.
I think the 99 of Carl kind of gave him the line to get down in the corner.
Gordon trying to come back on Biffle. Greg Biffle in the 16, Jeff Gordon in the 24. Working lap 58.
Vickers there in the 3rd spot. He's hanging right there with these guys.
He didn't pit either.
You know, Vickers in that group has made this strategy work for them how many times this year?
A number.
No tires, let's stay out, get up to the front, and then we'll catch a caution and we'll be in the mix. And they've done it numerous times, and here he is again.
See that 18 car on the move, and there's a 29 of Kevin Harvick as well. Harvick's in 10. Very racy behind him as well.
Vickers taking a look on Gordon.
That's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Vickers started 15th.
And that's how Vickers is going to have to do it somehow. He's going to have to do it on the outside, I think, although he's going to take a look on the bottom. But Gordon's been protecting the bottom the last couple of laps. See if Vickers can get enough fight. I think Gordon just, I don't know, he's hanging tough there.
It's like he went up to try the high side in that corner. I'm with Wally. He'd been protecting the bottom, and everybody had tried him on the outside. And then when he went to 3, he went to the high side.
Matt Yoakum.
Bill, there was a short debate between Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon about whether to stay out or pit. Finally, Letarte said to stay out no matter what. We'll get our 5 bonus points for lead, but also it'll give us a great opportunity on older tires to see what this car will do with clean air. Gordon's biggest complaint, the car was still a little loose off, and he thought that might have been due to the car being a little too tight in the center of the corner, upsetting the exit.
I think Gordon just let him have it right there.
He just let him have it. But Gordon's doing something that used to happen at racetracks like Atlanta, Rockingham, places like that. He's running low through 1 and 2 and high through 3 and 4. Yeah. He's not running the same groove on both ends of the racetrack. And that's a smart race car driver. He's looking around. He's looking for a place to run. But at the same time, they're giving him lap times. And when they give him lap times, he'll say, okay, what was my lap time that time? Bottom, both corners. What was my lap time? Next, that's close. Next time, high, both corners. What was my lap time? And he's figured out that he's found a little place where it works for him.
That's a 4th place right there. Tony Stewart taking it from Kyle Busch.
And that's 2 tires. So let's, there's different strategies here. Different, at this point in time, a different way to get there.
Hey, Marty.
Yes, sir, Mr. Weber.
What did you see on tire wear down there?
Well, I did see Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s right rear tire that came off the very first time. Cords were showing on the right rear. Now, they weren't severe, but they were showing, so a little bit of concern. They did let Dale Earnhardt Jr. know, hey, your right rear tire looked pretty bad when we took it off last time. It wasn't awfully bad, but we did notice some cords. So one thing to keep in mind, all that rubber washed off, so we have a pretty green racetrack we're still working with, Bill.
Yeah, and one thing on that tire wear on the 88 car, and we'll just touch on this, was Wally and I talked about how high he was running on the racetrack that first run. I don't care how much it rains. There was never any rubber up there. He's the only guy that's been up there. That's green racetrack.
Ford has never won at Chicago, but Biffle leads in a Ford.
Hey, you're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Hey, NASCAR fans, remember how much you loved us in Talladega Nights?
Well, get ready to fall in love all over again when we play brothers in our new movie, Step Brothers.
It's like Sex in the City for dudes.
Without the sex. Or the city.
Right.
I love those guys.
Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly.
Funny.
Oh, man. They have some talent, don't they?
When Will Ferrell portrayed Bill Weber in...
Come on. Anchorman. I can't believe you can't think of the name of a movie.
Blank, but just read the card.
I know all movies, and don't you forget it.
Oh, my God, that was good. That was good.
Payback's going to hurt, I know. Biffle leads. Then it's Vickers in second.
Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. This is Matt Kenseth in the 17. Kyle Busch behind him. Martin Truex Jr.
And I'm telling you, Kyle Busch is getting past tonight. I mean, he's falling backwards with these guys. Now, I don't know what their tire strategy was.
Whatever it was, it's not working for them.
But the one and the 17, they were good when the race started. The one made huge progress making forward. Martin Truex was driving up through the field in that Bass Pro Shops car, and Kenseth still right on the bottom where he was.
I'm not sure 18. I mean, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how his car was going to react in traffic, and it's like everybody else's right now. Not very good.
Yeah, he's almost getting out of the way. It looks like a little bit. You know, they're making runs on him down the straightaway now. Hey, and when they get to the corner, then they're splitting off, and he's not. You see him right there. He gives the 29 plenty of room on the outside.
Hey, Kyle, you know how we were talking about how this racetrack would be totally different from probably anything they have encountered?
Yes.
It's almost like the 18 was too good with no rubber on the racetrack, and now I think it goes back to what I was talking about in the pre-race. They're going to have to get aggressive with adjustments now that this racetrack has taken some rubber.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I think we experienced this when we first started going to the night race at Charlotte, because that racetrack has its own personality and changes so much. You'd get guys that would run away with that race at the beginning of the race and then wouldn't even be a factor at the end of the race. And vice versa. You'd get guys that would just barely hang on at the first, and that's an excellent point, Larry, because that's almost looks like what's happening to the 18.
As we watch up front, we can tell you Dale Earnhardt Jr., who started second, is currently running in the 27th position.
And he's pretty much been stuck in that 27th, 28th, 29th since they restarted.
Yeah.
He's not made up a whole lot of ground.
Jimmy Johnson runs in the 11th spot. Marty, you watching JJ?
I am, Weber. No tires, just in case you guys will know. That last stop for Jimmy Johnson, and fuel only for that track position. The call by Chad Canals, but inside the car, perhaps is the biggest distraction for Jimmy Johnson.
Hey, Jimmy, is it your rear view mirror or your side mirror there? My rear view mirror. It's kind of holding on now. It's drooping pretty bad, but I've got it angled where it's working as of now. I'll let you know if it falls off or anything. Okay, I just wanted to know so I know which one you couldn't see, so I can help you there.
He said his rear view mirror, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think where the Lowe's decals are almost the back side of the rear view mirror, where this camera angle is, the way it goes across the thing there. But a lot of times, they run that long rear view mirror in this car, and it's a multiple section, or either it's more like a bubble, but sometimes that piece of plastic breaks loose. And it's not the mirror itself that's drooped, or not the frame itself. Right. It's the piece of glass or the piece of plastic inside.
They're like 5 little pieces of glass in there.
There's multiple mirrors. There are 5 pieces of glass, or there's one that almost looks like an old school bus mirror like you used to run that was almost a bubble.
Marty? Drive many school buses in your day, Kyle, I guess?
Do I?
I drove many school buses.
I drove the activity bus. What are you talking about, man?
You tell that story later. It's hanging in there for Jimmy, but I can't imagine. You guys tell us how distracting it is because it's wobbling around. He really can't use it for much of a reference. He can on occasion. He's kind of got it, bent in there, so it will stay still as best as possible, but it's rattling around. Probably not much of a reference for Jimmy inside the car.
Well, and another thing is when you have a problem seeing out the back of the car, you're a little bit tentative on making a move on a guy. Even though your spotter, your spotter is kind of a safety guy. You still rely on feel and your mirrors. And when that mirror's not there, even though your guy says clear, you hesitate just a little bit.
Yeah, but it's like we talked earlier with the 29. You want everything in that car to be right. And when you're a driver, you focus on the one minor thing that's not right. Steering column wrong place, mirror falling off. My God, it just aggravates you all night long.
Mentioned it would be BP's birthday today. It's also coroner Rick Hendrick's 59th birthday today. With Greg Biffle trying to spoil the party at Chicago. Back here at Chicagoland on TNT. Are you ready to watch and listen in to your favorite driver all race long? Check out Track Pass RaceView yourself. Log on to NASCAR.com/RaceView right now and start your free trial. How about your dad?
About 50 years of doing this. Hard to believe, isn't it? That we had the 50th here and all our sponsors, Marathon Petroleum, Wells Fargo, and General Mills, Dodge, all those people came out. He rode him around the racetrack this morning. How cool was it to see
Not
Richard
just
Petty?
he.
Wait a minute, yeah, but how cool was it to see Richard Petty driving Mike Helton around the racetrack this morning? I'm thinking, my God, ask him something. Get us a favor while you got him out there.
We were in a meeting, so we didn't get to see that.
Sorry, man, it was cool. It was really cool. Bobby drove some people around, and then my father took all my nieces and nephews around. That was cool. That was really cool. I got to take Austin around, and it was cool to take my son around today.
Those rides go over big. When you give people a ride in a race car, that is big.
One of Benny Parsons' best lines was, everybody in this sport should walk up to the king at least once and say thank you, because if it wasn't for Richard Petty, we wouldn't be racing today. Hey, Larry.
Well, what I've been watching, obviously the move of staying out for Greg Biffle, Brian Vickers, who are up there running 1-2 right now. Jeff Gordon, who has faded back to 6. The good thing is they got the track position, but now the bad thing that we've stayed green this long, those 3 cars, as well as Ryan Newman and Jason Leffler, they're going to have to hit pit road here in about 5 to 7 laps, where everyone else can go to about lap 104. So they'll be holding their breath during that time frame after this green flag stop, that we will stay caution-free till it cycles through.
It's one of those keep the crew chief awake calls, huh?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Makes you earn your money.
Matt?
Bill, 2 weeks ago, Larry and Mack showed fans at home how drivers can adjust their race car from inside, changing the brake bias, whether dialing some front brake or dialing some rear brake into it. And what Greg Biffle's done, his car is just way too free out front in the clean air. So he dialed some front brake into it to try to get a little better balance in the race car. They're going to pit in about another 5 laps. They were one of those cars that stayed out to be closer to the front for track position. His team getting ready. They're going to make a small wedge adjustment in air pressure when he hits pit road about lap 92.
Thanks, Matt. That's Martin Truex. That's from 19th. That's 4th and 5th right there, but it might not have been as easy as Truex made it look. This is a lap ago.
Get a piece of the wall? He left some rubber on it, but no
Just
harm.
a kiss. And you know, that's an interesting thing. You talk about the 16 being a little free getting in the corner, and he rolls some brake into the front. You don't use a lot of brake here, like you know, Wally. You don't use a lot of brake, but he just drags the brake, which pitches the car forward, which changes the pitch angle of the car and lets it get down in the corner a little bit smoother and a little bit more comfortable. And that's interesting. You know, I mean, it's just that he's just driving the car a little bit with the brake and a little bit with the accelerator at the same time and not slowing the car down.
Because that's about all you have to adjust inside that race car.
That's all you have to adjust. That or your water bottle. That's it.
89 laps are complete. Some of these guys that didn't stop last time, they're going to need fuel when we come back to Chicagoland. See Brian Vickers heading off of pit road. Tony Stewart is the race leader. So some of these guys, Jeff Gordon's been on and off of pit road. Ryan Newman has been to pit road. Those drivers that stopped on lap 37, it's going to bite them right here. having to make green flag pit stops. Greg Biffle's been on pit road. He pitted as the race leader. So Tony Stewart is the leader. He pitted at lap 50. The driver is currently running in the top 36 positions.
Got quite a bit tighter as we go on here.
All pitted on lap 50. Rich Stewart on the radio.
Stewart's running good laps compared to the guys that didn't get tires and everything, so he's making a lot of ground.
Of course, Tony with the big announcement this week, making it official. He will become a part owner of Stewart Haas Racing and will drive for them beginning in 2009. You've been playing with toys over there, Kyle. What'd you find?
No, this is just cool. This is what you see at a night race a lot of times with the 24 pit stop. Watch coming off the right tire as he leaves the pits. They drop the jack on the left side. He spins the tires. Boom, sparks. That's where he hits a lug nut and throws that lug nut all the way down pit road. That lug nut just went about 300 yards the opposite direction.
Why don't you hear people getting hit by those things?
I do not know why.
Because it happens every race.
Every race, but that is so cool. That is so cool because you don't see that during a daylight race a lot of times.
Yeah.
You never see them, but it does. It happens on almost every pit stop. But that was cool just to see the sparks come off.
I got one in the ankle at Dover.
Oh, yeah.
One time, and man, you're down.
Oh, you're down.
Oh, gosh.
You're down. You know, those guys and the flagmen used to get hit with wheel weights and stuff like that. It's like getting shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a bullet, man. It's coming at you, and they would be bruises and puncture wounds. And it's like, my God, I'm not going up in the flag stand, man.
So right now, Greg Biffle is a lap down. Jeff Gordon is a lap down. Ryan Newman is a lap down.
And the problem with that is it's either got to cycle back through to get them on the lead lap and catch a caution, or there's a lot of lucky dogs are going to have to be given out for these guys.
Stewart leads by a little over a second. Truex is second. Then it's Edwards, Harvick, and Matt Kenseth, the top five. On board with Tony.
Fuel weight smoke.
Yeah, this is where it can bite the guys like Vickers, who, 15, 20 laps ago, that was really a good move for him. But the Vickers is back in 36 now, one lap down.
The one thing it does do when this happens, though, if they continue, is the lead that these guys have will be greater when they pit next time.
Right.
Because they're going to be that much further ahead because they're running on good tires, running a half second faster, whatever it is.
Here's the payoff for the AT&T Race Talk poll question. 62% think a Stewart Haas driver will make the chase in 2009. One of those drivers is going to be Tony Stewart. A lot of people believe the other one's going to be Ryan Newman. That's a lot. That's a lot of faith in Tony Stewart right there.
That's going to be a very, very tough corner for Tony Stewart.
Marty, Dale Jr. coming.
Yeah, it's not been a fun run this time for Dale Earnhardt Jr. As you guys mentioned, took the 4 tires last time, was way back in traffic. Here's what they did on their last stop. Up one round on the wedge bolt, or track bar, I should say. 2 spring rubbers in the right rear and a pound in the right rear tire. This time, Jr. says he's still tight after that. A pound in the left rear. They also make a wedge adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Still trying to get this car to react. He said it just doesn't react when he tries to turn it way too tight. Lindsay?
Well, Marty, Casey Kane currently in the 18th spot. We had told you that he felt like his car was pretty good, a little bit tight. So you see his team working. They're giving him gas, changing right side tires. They'll move around now to the left side. Casey Kane trying to keep that track position. Again, Marty, a little bit tight.
Man, those tire carriers just nail it when they put those things on.
Well, they just pinch it up
the
in there,
holes
man.
up and just nail it.
And that's the tire carriers. The jackman and the guys that hang the tires are critical to the pit stop. We can talk these guys all they want to, but that's critical.
Marty.
No more reports from Jimmy Johnson on that rearview mirror, so I think it's fine for him. But the car a little too tight for Johnson. So what they're going to do, they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. They're also going to go up 1 round of the track bar, trying to get that car to loosen up. And 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson, who did run in the top 10 for most of that run. Ralph?
The 99 is coming in. Carl Edwards pretty happy with the car. It's a little too free, but it's nice in the center of the corner. That's what he's really happy with. In fact, he's so happy with the car, he hasn't time to comment to the crew about how pretty the sunset was. They're going to make 2 rounds to the rear, and he's going to be underway. Marty.
4,300.
Kyle Busch coming down pit road, hits his pit stall. He said in the middle of that run, I need to go learn something. This is the guy who won the Nationwide Series race last night. He said the car was way too loose to start, got tight the longer they ran. They make a wedge adjustment, also an air pressure adjustment for Kyle Busch, your championship leader, Matt.
Two-time Chicago winner Tony Stewart is in. He said his car tighter on this run than it was the previous run. Already over the left side, Ira Joe Hussey hitting the lugs, and he's away. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick is talking about his car. The biggest issue, his complaint, was the fact that the sun is dramatically the sunset in a certain part of the racetrack over by turn 4. That was his biggest complaint to his spotter, Billy O'Day. Up pit road to Lindsey Zarnian.
Well, Matt, Martin Truex Jr.'s team getting ready to hop down over pit wall. Martin had a great pit stop on the last one, saying his car's a little bit tight. They're going to give him a chassis adjustment, change 4 tires is what they called for, and they'll get Martin down and away.
All this occurring under the green, 105 laps complete. Kurt Busch in the 2 car, too fast entering pit road. That'll be a pass-through penalty. That'll be costly.
Penalties under green flags. You almost take yourself out of the race by a simple mistake like this.
Here's Jeff Burton, currently scored 2nd in the championship standings. Remember, had contact on pit road earlier. Burton heads off of pit road.
You're flying here, and you're trying to get to pit road as fast as you can, and you can see Blaney there and the 28.
Ooh.
28 takes out the cone, but you can see how much they were struggling trying to keep it on the pavement and not get in the grass.
Blaney did a great job. I thought he was going to take out the cone, and here comes the 28 and takes it.
And obviously that'll be a penalty on the 28 car. Pass-through penalty for hitting the commitment cone.
Wow, man, that was loose.
Now remember, these guys pitted, so these guys' tires are what? 10 or 11 laps older than the other. 14
laps old now.
Yeah, than the guys that we're just seeing come on the pit road and come off pit road.
Yeah, Biffle is the race leader. It has cycled around. Vickers runs 2nd. And waiting for it to cycle one more time. Tony Stewart has scored 3rd, then Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards, the top 5. Had just 2 caution flags for 7 laps. Coming around to complete lap 108. Greg Biffle, the race leader here at Chicagoland. We're back at Chicagoland. We are under caution. Michael Waltrip has gone for a ride through the grass and through the paint in the infield. And watch what happened here.
And this is not, you see the 10 car in front get loose, hit the wall. Michael was behind him, turns left and turns down over the hood of the 31. And the 31's coming off the racetrack up. So that's just chain reaction. The innocent guy, Michael, in this case, gets spun out through the paint and ends up out in the grass. Watch the 10 car jump right there, sideways, boom, up. Michael checks, comes down right there. And you heard the 31 lift up too.
99 coming outside, caution's out. Way to hang on to it, Bo, way to hang.
Yeah, the 31 lifted out of the gas too, so it was just 2 guys going for the same place trying to avoid the 10 car.
So under caution with 112 laps complete. Pit road is open. Ralph?
Who might? Here comes a 99 and Carl Edwards down, and they've had a long discussion over whether or not to pit, take any tires, take 2 tires. He told crew chief Bob Osborne, let's not gamble. I got the fastest car. I want to win this thing. So they gave him 2 tires, filled up with fuel, no adjustments, Matt.
Greg Biffle says his car extremely loose. You saw from the one shot where he was just hanging on a 4-tire change. For him, they've already completed the wedge adjustment. Tony Stewart's already left Lindsey. He went 2 tires.
Matt Brian Vickers feels great about his car. They brought him down, decided to stick by their track position. They sent him out on 2 new tires and fuel. Marty?
Jimmy Johnson's going to be way back in this field. 4 tires was the call. He said, I feel like our car is just a little bit off. Too tight. Up once again. 2 rounds on the track bar, Bill.
A lot of traffic on pit road. Sort out the running order when we come back to Chicagoland on TNT. The TNT GT race family at Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, and it is just a beautiful evening, just like it was here, say, Thursday night, right? You would have thought it was the perfect storm brewing here Thursday night. Man, it rained hard. It's gorgeous here now.
Look at the sky, man. That's just incredible, dude. Brought to you by Bill Weber.
I had nothing to do with that.
Oh, that's a screensaver there.
This is more like Larry Mack stuff. He's the guy that used to tape the Weather Channel.
Oh, that's a cool shot.
Here's tonight's pit summary brought to you by Papa John's, now offering you 100% whole wheat crust. Kyle Busch picking up positions. The other guys going back. A lot of 2-tire, a lot of 4-tire stops.
I think some of these guys with the 4-tire stops are trying to position themselves for later in the race.
I agree.
Yeah, I just think they're thinking that far ahead right now.
Top 4 cars on the track stayed out. Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, David Reagan, and A.J. Allmendinger. These cars took 4 tires. Gordon, Biffle, Johnson, Earnhardt, and Elliott Sadler.
Kyle Busch in the 2 car.
Kurt
Busch, I'm sorry. Gets a lap back. Kyle Busch is not where he wants to be.
That's for the lead right there, the 17 and the 18. The cars in front of him at the tail end of the lead lap. Burton and Kurt Busch. That's first and second right there.
Matt hung tough on the outside through 3 and 4 down there. And you get a run on the outside, especially with these new tires. Even though Kyle can come off the bottom that strong with these fresh tires, Matt gets a good strong run on the outside.
Yeah. Again, the 17 and the 18 did not stop under this caution.
With the 18's got to get just far enough through the center to be able to slide up in front of Kenseth, and he's not able to do that yet. But like you said, when the 17 car is getting such a good run off the top, and if you can keep the 18 pinned down low, that's going to help him. Oh, look at that. That looked loose. Dead even. This is where somebody's got to give. Somebody's got to make a mistake, or you just get tired of it. And I mean, you know, you're just waiting for one little slip up so you can get that little bit of an advantage.
But you got to, these guys respect it. These guys are giving each other plenty of room. There's 3 foot between these guys. Going down the straightaway in the corner, he's not letting it slide up. Matt's not coming down on him. This is good racing right here.
Tony Stewart is third, right behind them. 2 tires on his stop. The 77 of Hornish is not a lead lap car. That's first and second side by side for the lead.
That's letting Stewart and the rest of the guys catch up, because these guys are running side by side. Stewart has pulled up 10, 15 car lengths on these 2 in the last 2 or 3 laps.
Again, Jeff Burton in that 31 just in front of this pack, and Kurt Busch in front of him, tail end of the lead lap.
Now you got to decide, who am I going to go with? Who do I think is faster that if I get behind it, I can, you know, make the move on one of these cars? I would think he'd want to go to the high side, depending on how the car went. And Kenseth he just let off right there.
It's like Kenseth got tired of playing, you know, because he could have just hammered it down in there for another 20 laps, it looked like, because as good as his car was driving, he felt like he could just stay there.
So Toyota Team H run first and second from Joe Gibbs Racing. And here's our Toyota driver update. A.J. Allmendinger, who did not pit under this most recent caution. There you see Vickers back in 6th. I'll tell you, there's a wad of cars coming off of 2 down the backstretch. This is for the lead. Ooh. This is to put Burton 1 lap down.
And Jeff has been so consistent in that 31 car, but they have just not been on since they unloaded the other day here.
Burton now in position to be the lucky dog if the caution comes out.
Oh man, oh man. That thing jumped out on Stewart just there. You could see just that one jump. He lost 5 car lengths, and the 31's going to go by. He's got to catch his breath after that one.
That's half this little short shoot down the straightaway. I mean, that's one little bobble and you lose that much, and that shows you how much of a momentum track this is. By being round like it is, you just got to keep that momentum up.
Ralph?
Well, they think they've got a flat rear tire on the 17. They can't tell which side of the car it's on yet, but Matt's been on the radio. Don't know if that's one of the reasons why he bailed out of the throttle as fast as he did while he was battling up at the front of the field with Busch and Stewart, but now he's making his way down to pit lane. The crew is up on the wall, and they're going to change all 4 tires and get him back out here as quick as they can.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, man. It almost looks like a left rear, but it was hard to tell. And look.
And they don't have to be completely flat. You know, we sit there and say, well, it looks like all the tires have air in it. These tires, if they drop 3 or 4 pounds,
yeah,
it affects the way these cars drive.
Fighting for the lead just a few laps ago. Now we will be deep in the field. So leaders charge by while Matt drives off a pit road. Was 8th in the championship standings when he hit pit road. And even before he gets back in the race, he's 13th out of the chase. Guess what? Kyle Busch is the race leader at Chicago. Kyle Busch has led 53 of the 130 laps. As we close in on halfway here in the LifeLock.com 400 at Chicagoland. Bill Weber along with Wally Dellenbach and Kyle Petty and our entire TNT race family. Time to take you through the field. We start with the race leader, and that means Marty Snyder gets the talk.
132 laps in, Bill, and this man has led the most laps so far this evening. Kyle Busch has kept it out front. There you see leading 54 of the 131 laps so far. He said the car the last time, a little too loose to start and tight at the end of the run. They have 6 wins so far this year, but he sees room for improvement. Better coming through the field and better on flat tracks is where he wants to improve, Matt.
Tony Stewart, a 2-time Chicagoland winner. He's led 11 laps here tonight. He's faded back a little bit from his teammate, the 18 of Kyle Busch. Stewart says the car is not bad, still a little too tight. He does run about a lane off from the bottom. A little wiggle there as his car is a little free on exit, Ralph.
A lot of edginess around the 6 crew this afternoon. They feel like they're really close to being a dominant car, and they are so close that they're frustrated they can't push it over the edge. Well, they're getting there close tonight because the car is really starting to come to him. David Reagan running in 3rd. Pretty happy with the way the car's performing right now, Lindsay.
Well, Ralph, guess who else is happy? It would be A.J. Allmendinger. His first time running at Chicago. Right now he's in 4th place. Says the car was a bit tight earlier in the first 100 laps, but it's become loose in a good way, he says. Feels like the car is starting to come to him. Hey, and behind A.J. is Toyota teammate Brian Vickers. He feels pretty good about his car as well. He has never in his 3 times here finished outside the top 15. He's using that experience from last night's nationwide race in which he finished 4th to help him tonight. Ralph?
Carl Edwards is getting ready to take a big bike ride this coming week as he's going to go run the nationwide race in Gateway. He's going to ride from his home in Columbia, Missouri over to Gateway. Should take about 3 days, but right now this car, his setup here is pretty good. It's a little loose, and he's planning that on the racetrack, tightening up for him.
Kevin Harvick, Ralph, on the bottom trying to close in on the 99 of Edwards. Harvick really hasn't said a whole lot about his car. That means his car's running well. The only complaint, as you see, is it goes off into turn 3. Earlier, the sunset was really bothering his eyes. Ralph?
For Mark Martin, he doesn't normally like to run high up the racetrack, but in talking to crew chief Tony Gibson, they feel like their setup that they've got right now is allowing him to run on the very bottom and in the middle of the racetrack, which Tony Gibson will tell you the mini Marty is pretty high for Mark Martin.
Well, Ralph, this part of the run is where Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knauf Hopecoat's 4 tires pay off. He restarted 17th currently. He's up to the 9th position. Said the car is tight in the center, a little loose on exit, but Jimmy said it's much better this run than it was last time, Matt.
Greg Biffle, Marty, took 4 tires in the last stop, a little different than a lot of the other leaders, but it mired him back in traffic, and he said, we're just back here, we cannot do anything. If that tells you what we need to do for our next round of pit stops, 4 tires just doesn't do anything unless you're out front, Larry Mack.
Well, let's go back and let's talk about the woes of the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. He had the ignition box problems earlier, and what they had to do, if you notice, you have both of your ignition boxes up here on the dash. Well, he swapped from one to the other, and that still did not solve the problem. So what they did, they actually came in and changed one of these ignition boxes. Now he's running 42nd, 4 laps down. But you know what? This is our final race of our TNT Summer Series, and when you have a final race, you have to have a grand finale. Now, over the last 6 weeks, I've been working hard on my test car, but I've been working on a lot of other things too. Am I reaching my magic box? No, we're not going to pull a rat out of a hat. That's child's play. We're going to get a little more serious here tonight, here at Chicagoland, with the help of my beautiful assistant, Mark Fine. Mark, you doing okay down there?
You didn't tell me there was a saw
Okay,
involved,
and as you
Larry.
notice, he's got his beautiful shoes here. We're going to attempt something that has never been done on a TNT NASCAR race before. In fact, I've never attempted it, but you know what? I don't really think I knew this. Okay, buddy, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, if you notice, we have this solid plank here. We're going to put it down in here like this. Okay, hang on, buddy. What'd you eat last night? Okay, there's one.
Yeah,
now, if you notice, we have another one here. We have another plank here. We're going to put it down in here. All right, buddy, just hang on. We're just about there. Give us just a second.
Go ahead, do it quick. Make it quick.
Hang on. Okay.
Wow.
Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah,
there
fantastic.
you see it.
Yeah, thanks.
The beautiful shoes.
Okay.
There you see it, buddy. You're okay.
Can you put me back together now?
As you can tell, Bill, I'm batting 1,000 now. Who's next?
Can I have my legs back?
We've created a monster.
You know why that's never been seen on a TNT race? Because nobody in the booth cares, Larry. Nobody cares.
I wonder if he can get them back together. Mark can now do 2 assignments on the same weekend.
Mark, we'll see half of you next year, buddy.
Kyle Busch leads by 2 seconds over Tony Stewart. The driver leading at halfway has failed to win 9 of the last 10 races. The only driver leading at halfway that has won in the last 10 races, Kyle Busch at Infineon. He has led 63 of the 140 laps. We're past halfway here in Chicagoland. Oh, look at all those assistants getting on TV.
That wasn't real?
He's supposed to have a pretty assistant when he does a trick.
He did the best he could. Moments that changed the game, brought to you by Viagra. Kyle, you guys talked about it earlier.
Oh, was this what we were talking about earlier? It's exactly what we were talking about earlier.
2006. Jeff Gordon gets into Matt Kenseth. Gordon went on to win the race. For more moments that changed the game, log on to NASCAR.com/moments. We're under caution for debris. The field has been on and off of pit road. See Tony Stewart, David Reagan getting out of his stall. He's pitted down by turn 4. Brian Vickers. See the traffic down there. Can tell you that Jeff Burton was the lucky dog. Most of these 4-tire stops. How about it, Ralph?
Well, for David Reagan on the 6 car, they've been ever so slightly free, so they made an air pressure adjustment. He also had a tear-off changed on the front windshield so he get a better view out the front of the car. Matt?
Tony Stewart on the last stop took 2 tires. This stop, Greg Zappinelli called for 4 to continue on with 3rd cycle. Shaggy Larson, the catch cam man, also reached across and made a slight track bar adjustment for Stewart. Lindsay?
Matt, Brian Vickers trying to keep a hold of that track position. He had said he was really tight coming on in. They gave him a peel off of the tape, but they had a lot of conversation about that because they didn't want to mess up the downforce, as they said. Gave Brian a gel pack, a tear off, 4 tires, Marty.
Well, Lindsay, the M&M's guys have been fantastic on pit road tonight. They held serve once again. 4 tires for Kyle Busch. He said the car was just a little bit tight. Quarter turn on the right rear of wedge and a tear off the windshield. That's all he wanted, and that's the only change they made, Bill.
Thank you, Marty. 00, too fast entering and exiting pit road. So Michael McDowell will pay the price for that. Jamie McMurray is at the tail end of the lead lap. You see him there in the 26 car. Here are tonight's Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. A car starting in the top 5 has never won a race at the Chicagoland Speedway. Kevin Harvick won from the 6th position in 2001, the highest for a race winner. our Coors Light cold hard facts. McMurray came down pit road, let's see, on lap 135. McMurray had a puncture in his right rear tire. That's why he pitted early before the caution, then stays out. Was running 12th before he pitted. And Jamie right now is scored 30th, the last car on the lead lap. Trying to figure out where he's going.
Who?
McMurray.
I thought they pretty much said he could be here forever, which is the kiss of death for a driver.
Murray should be at the tail end of the lead lap.
He must have been in the outside line at one point in time when he came past the scoring pylon and moved to the inside line, which puts him a lap down. He's the first car one lap down. Either line. He can go either way he wants to, but obviously as he come past the scoring loop and we scored him as tail end of the lead lap, he must have been in the outside line and then went to the inside.
Well, he's he's at the tail end of the lead lap. So he has the option of which lane he wants to restart in. He's going to restart on the inside. So Kyle Busch pulls Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers, David Reagan, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, AJ Allmendinger, and Jeff Gordon. Here we go.
Oh, man.
Please grip, please grip.
Yep, and this was it. 26 slid up the racetrack. Did a good job hanging on to that thing, but he used all three lanes.
And that's
saving it.
And that's Matt Kenseth, who now is the lucky dog, in position for the lucky dog, one lap down.
This is a mess right here.
And Matt's a car that has run good enough this evening to not worry about the lucky dog. He can almost make his lap up on his own because he's been a top 4 or 5 car most of the night.
Hey, Ralph, you down there?
Oh, yeah.
What'd they find on that 17?
Well, they've just been working on the 17 a lot. They took 2 tires to deal on this last stop. And they had a punctured right rear tire, as that's what knocked them out when they had to come down for that time.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. So that's why Matt is off the lead lap, but he was battling for the lead before he had that punctured tire. Denny Hamlin in that 11 car, 4 laps down. Larry talked about the ignition box problem they had. And this is a lot of cars and not a lot of room. Oh, Juan bobbles right there in the 42.
Oh, look at Busch and the 2 car get sideways underneath Montoya.
That's 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
Apparently these guys are racing as hard for these spots right here as guys up front.
They're 3 wide coming out of turn 2. When we first came here, this was a single groove racetrack. After having 7 or 8 winners on this racetrack, it's gotten bumpier, but it's made the racing a lot better because you've been able to go from the top to the bottom. We saw Earnhardt Jr. start at the top, and then on restarts when everybody's on pretty good tires, and they've made their adjustments. Remember, this is not like the start of the race. Everybody's made their adjustments. Now they can race 2 and 3 wide.
Junior's back there in the 21st position, and he's been back there since a 4-tire stop early in the race. Has not been able to race his way out of this mess back here.
Yeah, they got to figure out how they can get some track position.
How about it, Marty?
Well, Bill, I think the biggest problem for Dale Earnhardt Jr. is they just have not been able to get this car to loosen up. He said the car feels like it's almost lifting off the left front, like they got the wrong right front spring in, according to Dale Earnhardt Jr., and they have not been able to get this tight condition out all evening long. They've tried everything. They've tried spring rubbers, wedge, track bar, air pressure on the last stop, and nothing has worked as Kurt Busch tries to go around him.
Unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, but we talked about this earlier. You know, these guys got a terrible practice session yesterday afternoon. It was the racetrack was junk. It was bad.
That was at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and a lot of guys just set it out and really didn't do much practice. Then when they did get a practice, then that was as close to race time as we were going to have. Then it rained all night, so the racetrack changed again. So everything that Junior and those guys have set up for has been on the bottom of the racetrack. Then your driver, Junior, moves to the top of the racetrack. They hadn't been up there all weekend long, and then you complain about how the car drives. But we all do that as a driver because we're looking for the best place to go.
They teach you that at driver school, don't they?
To complain? Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Chapter 1. Chapter 1.
I thought that came natural.
Yes, it does.
Only for some of you, Wally. I talked to some of the guys from the 31 team at the hotel last night, and they said they would have been much better off practicing at 8 in the morning.
Yes.
Than they would have been at 5 in the afternoon.
And you say, well, how do you figure that? And it's all about track temperature. You don't really care where the sun was. It was all about track temperature for them. That racetrack had sat all day long in the sun. It had baked. It was slick. It was just. They couldn't get anything hooked up to it.
Hey, Ralph, you watching Carl?
Yeah, that's Carl Edwards just saying that he's too loose all the way around. And one of the things he was also talking about on the radio is, hey, who am I racing here? Because everybody's racing so hard, as you were talking about. Guys like Matt Kenseth, he's not sure who's on the lead lap, who's not on the lead lap, and who do I need to worry about?
Well, Matt Kenseth is racing Jamie McMurray right now, unless he can get around Kyle Busch. There's Carl Edwards. He's in 4th. He's got Johnson behind him and Vickers.
Anytime I ever ask who am I racing, they would just say everybody will sort it out when the race is over with.
Well, Kyle Busch is trying to pull off the Chicagoland sweep. Won the nationwide race here last night, and he's shining under the lights tonight.
Hey, you're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Hey, NASCAR fans, remember how much you loved us in Talladega Nights?
Well, get ready to fall in love all over again when we play brothers in our new movie Step Brothers.
It's like Sex in the City for dudes.
Without the sex. Or the city.
Just go ahead. Go ahead. I know you wanted to say something. I thought you were going to chicken out.
Take it away, Ron.
Should I read the card now?
Please.
Just read the card.
Okay. Are you ready to watch and listen in to your favorite driver all race long? Check out Track Pass Race View yourself. Log on to NASCAR.com/raceview right now and start your free trial.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful red sky.
Yep.
Well, the lights look good here, Chicago.
Yep.
Yes.
First night race here at Chicagoland Speedway. Kyle Busch is loving it. First night race for the Sprint Cup Series. Kyle won the race here last night under the lights.
How bad's everybody getting sick of this? 18 out front.
We've at TNT, we've just done the 6 races. So
I mean, the
I can only
drivers,
speak personally.
like,
I can
man,
only speak personally.
Man, he is just making everybody look bad right now.
But it is incredible. And, you know, we had him on the show, and it's like he's I will say this about him. He knows there's a day that's going to come to an end, and he's having fun doing it, and he's having fun, and that's the main thing.
Marty, are you having fun?
Of course I'm having fun. I'm in the leader's pit. It's a lot of fun to watch the guy out front. He said something interesting, Kyle Wally. He said his right rear felt soft. He didn't mean air pressure-wise or like it was going down, but like it wasn't building up enough heat. So one of the controls the driver has inside the car is they can turn fans on and off to certain tires. So Kyle turned off the fan to the right rear tire, hoping it would heat up a little bit and maybe help their tight condition a little bit as well, make that car a little bit looser when that right rear heats up.
I don't know why he would want that thing any more loose than what it already is.
Man,
my God, he's sideways in it now.
Drop a little deeper in the field here.
There's another one that doesn't need it any more loose. 99.
Carl Edwards in the 99, teammate David Reagan in the 6th, and go back and look at this.
What you want to do in the 99 car, we can get a shot. You want to look through the windshield and watch the hands. See the hands are swatting flies right there. That when the hands go to the right, he's saving the race car. You see, he's in the corner, and he just pulls right down on that steering wheel, and that's just a save. Every time you see a hand go to the right, that's a save.
And his hand disappears under the dash, all the way down. You don't see it anymore.
Ralph.
Yeah, it's not good inside the 99. He's loose all the way around. They told him they're going to put a round of bite in the next time they pit. He says he can only go as fast as Jamie McMurray, which is a car right in front of him. There's just no way he can catch him right now. Lindsay.
Well, Ralph, we're talking
He's trying to rope in David Reagan. Reagan runs 5th, Vickers 6th. Then Mark Martin to 7th. Jimmy Johnson 8th, Allmendinger 9th, Biffle 10th. Inside of 100 to go now. Kyle Busch, the race leader. This is not a recording. Kyle Busch, the race leader. This is not a recording.
Gentlemen, start, engine! Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. On Chevy
The TNT Race family at the lifelock.com 400. And in Kevin James fashion, a very good command.
That was a very good command. You know, and I was just sitting here watching that LifeLock guy. You know, every time we have a TNT race, he gives away 30 days free. If we could do this enough, I could get a whole year of free LifeLock.
I have a feeling if you make the call, Kyle, you'll be in.
I'm not sure.
Tony Stewart closing in on Kyle Busch for the race lead. Stewart has led 11 laps. Kyle has led 97 of the 174, but that 20 car is coming. And automatically you start thinking, well, Tony's put all that off-track stuff behind him. He knows what his future is, and he's told everybody about it. Now he's ready to get back to victory lane.
You don't believe that, do you?
I do. I do believe that. I believe he was ready to get back to victory lane.
Oh, yeah, I think he's ready to get back to victory lane.
But I believe all that. I think anything off the track.
You believe that?
Yeah, I do. You don't.
Whatever you say, Ron. I don't know. I'm not sure I believe. I think Tony drives as hard as he can no matter what. He's just that kind of driver a lot of times.
Yeah, but I think the
distraction of us asking him all the time was probably, yeah that's true.
And the thing about it is, you don't work with your team as much because you're thinking about all kinds of other stuff.
And he said the hardest thing he ever did was going over there to let them know from his mouth, you know, I'm not going to be here with you guys next year.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
I know you love stats, and so much has been said that the season is officially halfway over when the checker flag waved last week at Daytona.
Right.
Tony Stewart, the 20, they have not been to victory lane this year, but go back last year when we rolled in here. They had not won a race. They win this race, and they win 3 out of 4. So this is exactly, I think, what this team could be getting a hold of here.
Larry, you just took the stat right out from underneath Weber. He had it here.
He had it on a sticky
note. Ready to go for it.
It was on a sticky note.
You are a magician.
Caution.
I'm a stat stealer.
Can we get back to the race, please?
Okay.
Caution on the Speedway. Debris, caution on the Speedway. 176 laps are complete. Got to go through my stats here and start all over now.
That was good, Larry.
He was on it.
Poor Jimmy's over here working his heart out, trying to help me out.
He's just working his way through school, man. And Larry stole the stat
Larry
from him.
ran him over, then you backed up and hit him again. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Then it's Tony Stewart, Harvick, Edwards, Spring Rubber.
Spring Rubber.
Yep.
David Reagan is 5th. Brian Vickers is 6th. Then Jimmy Johnson, A.J. Allmendinger, Greg Biffle, Mark Martin has slipped back to the 10th spot right now.
And who is our lucky dog?
I'm going to say Matt.
It is Matt Kenseth. And how much fun is that going to be to watch?
That's going to be cool because he's got a top car. He's got a car capable of winning the race to get it in the right position and get back on sequence with these guys.
Pit road's going to be very hectic. We've got 39 cars scored on the lead lap. Ralph, good luck.
Well, that's Carl Edwards coming down pit road to the first pit stop box for us. He's going to take 4 tires and fuel. They're going to rip a tear off the windshield for him. They're going to make a wedge and air pressure adjustment to help that loose condition, Matt.
The biggest thing Tony Stewart said, he needs help getting back in the gas. The car is too free, especially when he's in traffic. Now, the gas man this week is Brad Roth, and the reason Jeff Beach Patterson is home with gallbladder surgery. Track bar adjustment for Stewart completed, Marty.
Kyle Busch clinging to the lead when he had to come to pit road. His car just a little bit tight there towards the end of the run. Quarter round up of wedge, trying to get that car to loosen up at the end of the run. Very loose, though, at the start of the run. And another 4-tire stop, and they win the race off pit road, Lindsay.
And Marty, Brian Vickers talking about just how loose his car had been. He said we just have to get it back on track. They gave him 4 tires, a wedge adjustment. Best finish here, 4th in 2005. They're pushing on it, going for that track position, Bill.
I'll tell you what, that #1 pit stall leading off the pit road is a nice place to live. Our producer Barry Landis, director Mike Wells, teaming up to bring you the pictures from Chicagoland Speedway and the LifeLock.com 400. Look at the fans, came out on a beautiful Saturday night to watch the stars of the Sprint Cup Series. Working caution, 180 laps are complete. Kyle Busch is the race leader. Tony Stewart is second. Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, David Reagan, the top 5. Then it's Vickers, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, A.J. Allmendinger, and Mark Martin in 10th. Tony Stewart has 32 career wins. It has been 32 races since his last win. Of course, he has 2 wins here at this track. There's some of the spotters reporting some additional debris around the track, waiting to see if NASCAR spots that. And they're going to put the yellow flag back out. Kyle Busch has led 103 of the 180 laps. He's now led over 1,000 laps in the Cup Series this season. And he went over 1,000 in the Nationwide Series last night.
Bunch of litter bugs out there.
We'll just pick that up and recycle.
Hey, Ralph.
Well, Matt Kent's is trying to battle his way back up through the field, Bill. He's up to 30th right now. They came down, pitted, took 4 tires of fuel. No adjustments. He's a little free, but one of the issues he has right now is he's not very happy with the brake setup that they're running on the car right now. He says he's feeling pretty much all the braking in the rear of the car when he jumps on the brakes. Not real happy about it, and he's already said, you know what, next time let's go back to the other system.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
I've just handed a card for a race buddy question.
I'm feeling bad.
And I think this is my first of the year that I'm reading.
You need help with the big words?
It comes from Cat Graves, my home state of Texas, San Angelo, Texas. And the question is...
I thought your home state was Colorado.
I've got home states everywhere. Cat asked, did Kyle lose a bet to have to wear that tie?
What is wrong with this tie?
Oh, that's
Look
why
at this
I
tie.
wonder why they turned it.
Look,
What's right with that
it goes
tie?
with this shirt. Get over here, Weber. It goes with that shirt. Look at this. I got the only tie that works for everybody in the booth.
So, Cat, no, he didn't lose the bet.
That's painful, Cat, wherever you live.
He did it on purpose.
Painful.
I wondered why they were turning on the booth lights. I thought that was so you could read.
Yeah. I thought it was for heat.
All right, we're going green this time. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Tony Stewart was coming. Matt Kenseth is restarting back in the 30th position, but he's got a good car. Here we go. 85 laps to go.
You know, McMurray's got a pretty good car, too. I mean, he's been sitting there trying to get that lap back, but he's been hanging there.
You know, it's just like, it amazes me every week sitting up here with you guys that, and just like Carl said a minute ago, who am I racing? These guys are racing so hard. Who am I racing? It's like the top 5 or 6 guys get spread out, but from there back to about 24th or 25th, these guys run like it's the last lap at Daytona last week.
It's David Reagan in the 6, Jimmy Johnson in that 48. Vickers inside of Jimmy Johnson. Marty?
Bill, last run for Jimmy Johnson. He was very polite about it, but he had an extremely loose race car on power down. He said, Chad, I'm not sure what we did to our race car, but can I please have my car back? So what he did was he went down on the track bar. The car was extremely loose. First time all night long for Jimmy Johnson. He had that handling issue, and looks like it's still a little bit loose as he washes up the racetrack, right, guys?
Definitely, Marty. He's using about an extra lane for that race car right now because it's sliding so much.
And a lot of times you saw him, he had to go in to the inside, so he had to pinch the corner right there and make a tighter corner. When the car's loose, it really gets double loose. That's why you see those guys hang out to the wall and fade the car in the corner. It doesn't make the car as free getting in the corner if you give it more room.
Lowe's is donating $48 for every lap Jimmy completes here and at the Brickyard to try and help out. It's Racing for Relief to help out the families and the people here in the Midwest who have been affected by the floods and the tornadoes. And if he wins, it's an extra $4,800. And Lowe's stores in the Midwest are helping out. You can go make a donation there, or you can go to redcross.org if you'd like to contribute online. So again, thanks to the folks at Lowe's for helping out with that. Kevin Harvick, Matt.
Bill having a very solid run. He hasn't won, though, in 52 races. Like to add another Chicago trophy to his trophy case. His biggest complaint tonight, besides the car being slightly loose, look inside the cockpit. See how close the wheel is. We told you earlier that he wanted the steering wheel adjusted. They went the wrong way. It's too close. He says now his forearms keep grabbing on his fire suit as he starts to turn. Wally and KP, how much of a distraction and how much does it take away from your concentration and technique when you have some issue like that?
Well, it is, Matt, because when you're sitting in these cars and you get fitted to these cars, or you try to get everything perfect. Everything has to be perfect. You don't want your uniform snagging on anything, or you're just talking a little bit, Kyle. I mean, something can be a little bit off, and every time you turn that steering wheel, you think about it. And if you got to think about that, you're not thinking about what you should be thinking about.
And you just saw it. You just saw that thing take off, and he had to snatch left, right, left real quick. All right, that's okay if you're in the Kmart parking lot. But at 160 miles an hour out here, and your uniform's catching on something, or you're dragging your forearms across it, and you're not feeling the car in the palm of your hands. And you know what, Wally, you feel the car. And when I say feel the car, you feel it in your hands, you feel it in your rear end, you feel it in your back, you feel it in the seat, and you drive with your whole body, not just with your hands and your feet. You drive with your whole body. And if you're put in a position where you don't feel the car the way you want to feel it, it's incredibly distracting and hard to hang on.
Speaking of feeling your race car, Kyle Busch, lap or so ago.
Don't tell me he's going to get loose.
Oh. Just barely ran out of room.
Safe. He does that all the time.
All the time.
Just to keep himself interested. Leads by 1.4 seconds over Tony Stewart.
Tell you what, that car looks like it is loose. All the time.
And
it's
he
like
says
5 times through the corners.
And he says, I need it freed up. Free me up a little.
Yeah. Carl Edwards to second around Tony Stewart.
And that's impressive. That's impressive for Carl, because Tony has been on the money, spot on here for the last little bit.
But he seems to be better later in the run.
Later in the run. For whatever reason, it's like once you get past 15 or 20 laps, he seems to. Carl got mired back in traffic a little bit, but now he's broken free from those guys.
And here comes that 17 car.
Yeah, Matt was in 30th on the restart. He's up to 21st right now.
Gained 9 positions.
21st spot. Yeah, 21st position.
And you don't think that's too impressive, but when you go back and you remember Junior at the first part of the race running in the top 5 and getting hung back there and could make no progress.
Well, you said it earlier. Matt's car is good enough to run up front, and he's making his way through traffic. So, and if the car's that good in traffic, if he does get up front where it spreads out a little bit, he may be tough.
And you restart back there, you're racing through 2 lines of traffic coming through.
Yeah, and they're not just getting out of his way back here. It's not like when Kyle catches lap traffic. When the leaders catch lap traffic and they get that yellow and blue flag, they get out of the way. So it's easy if you're leading a racer in the top 2 or 3 because the lap cars get out of your way. But these guys are not giving Matt any respect at all. He's just like them. He's got to work his way back to the front.
Kyle Busch continues to lead. Matt Kenseth on the march. See how it plays out. 73 laps to go at Chicago. 199 laps are complete. 200 next time by. Kyle Busch has led 122 of them and leads by 0.7 of a second over Carl Edwards. Time to go through the field. Here's Coach Snyder.
And Coach Weber, Kyle Busch has it on cruise control out front. Little Saturday night drive here in Chicago. They tested Kentucky earlier this week and learned how to make this car a little bit better. And I think that's showing here tonight. He's on the last 79 laps. They had one set of tires that did not agree with the car. Other than that, they've been outstanding, Ralph.
Loose in, loose off. That's the words from Carl Edwards. They made a wedge and air pressure adjustment on the last stop. Made it a little bit better earlier on in the run. So they're going to do more of the same on this very next stop coming up, Matt.
Ralph, Kevin Harvick, 4 top 10s in the first 5 races. Then they kind of lost a little bit the momentum they had trying to gain that back tonight. Currently runs third. He's led 0 laps, but he's trying to work his way to the front. The car's to the 2 free on exit. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart in 4th. He's 3 seconds back of the leader, his teammate, Kyle Busch. This is conversation moments ago between he and his team.
Nelson's too loose, bud. Or we put it right back where we started right there. We'll just go a bunch more next time. Hang in there. No worries. It'll come to us here. We're just going to give it some laps here. I just pick run as fast as these are running right now. Right, 219. Still got a long way to go. Just hang in there. Keep them in your sight. We'll be fine.
Stewart currently runs in the 4th position, chasing his 3rd Chicago win. Marty?
Matt, I think Jimmy Johnson has his race car back. Very happy in there. In fact, you just told Jack Canals on the last lap, a little bit loose now, but we cut our problem in half. Jack Canals responded by saying you're a 10th and a half or 10th faster than the leaders are right now. Keep it coming. The car getting much better for Johnson the later we go into the evening, Ralph.
Total silence on the radio for David Reagan. That's the way it's been the majority of the night. In between stops, as there's a change for the lead. There's air pressure adjustments, and that's it. Going on with the 6th. Bill?
Thanks, Ralph. Carl Edwards takes the lead from Kyle Busch.
Kyle's not used to seeing that.
No, and that's impressive. And I mean, we heard during that pit whip where, you know, the 99 says my car's a little bit free. We hear the 18 say my car's free. Loosen the car up. And when you look at it, these guys are driving away from everybody.
Jimmy Johnson runs 5th, David Reagan 6th, Brian Vickers 7th, Lindsay.
And Brian Vickers has a couple ideas of what he'd like to change for his car. Said it's not where it's like to be. It's too loose getting off the throttle. He says it's good in 1 and 2. He's getting killed going through 3 and 4. Talking about making an air pressure adjustment in the right rear on the next stop, Matt.
Jeff Gordon led 6 laps earlier tonight, but currently runs in the 8th position. Gordon's car, they just cannot get the balance exactly that he's liking. The car's a little free on entry and tight through the center. The last time in, they made both a track bar and air pressure adjustment. He's just back there. He cannot get that clean air that he needs. Lindsay?
Well, Matt, A.J. Allmendinger had been saying that his car was a bit loose, but right now, no complaints whatsoever. Very, very happy with the car. He's been radio silent since they last pitted.
Lindsay, let's give a call to Elliott Sadler right behind A.J. Allmendinger in that Best Buy car. He's in 10th position right now. They started 26th tonight. He said the car is better than it's been all evening long. We should get him a little bit of racing luck, right, Larry Mack? They've run well, run in the top 10. They just need to finish one of these races.
Yeah, Marty, I keep following this 17 car, Matt Kenseth. Remember, just a little over 20 laps ago, he restarted back in 30th. As Kyle and Wally and Bill were talking about, looks like he's got a top 5 car. He just cracked the top 15, but he may need the help of a couple of cautions to get him back up there. The guy running right behind him, though, Kurt Busch in the 2 car battling Clint Boyer in the 07. Remember, after winning at Loudon 2 weeks ago, Kurt Busch and that group, they followed it up with a top 5 finish last week at Daytona. They got the penalty earlier in the race. Now they've worked their way back up to the top 15. But what's going to be interesting here is all these guys that are looking for more adjustments on their car, they're probably only going to get one more opportunity somewhere around lap 230 to 235 because we are now down to a one-stop race.
Little loose?
These guys are all, they're all loose, it looked to me. I mean, they are just wheeling these race cars right now. And Larry's right. Kenseth is about 15 seconds back now behind Carl Edwards, so a caution would really help for him.
Carl Edwards is the race leader.
Just now start.
Fans, get ready for NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile from Sprint, only on the Now Network. Under green, Carl Edwards, who was the race leader, leaving pit road. A tire issue sent Carl to the...
sitting here, I gotta look at it.
Carl had a flat tire on the left side. Came down pit road under the green. Now heads back out. That puts Kyle Busch back up front. With Harvick charging, Johnson third, Stewart fourth, and David Reagan fifth. Carl Edwards gets back up to speed.
And we saw this earlier with Matt.
Coming off, and that's what it is.
What did he say?
I don't know. I didn't catch that. Something's coming off.
The tire was not flat, bud.
Oh, look at, he's dragging
Something's coming off. That's what he said. Something's coming off. I don't know what it is. That's what he said.
Yeah, you can see
He's
the
got
sparks
some,
underneath the car.
Sorry, from up here. I mean, just for my...
Yeah. That's what he said. Something's dragging on it. And you can see it right there.
Yeah, you did
Something
that.
on the left front shaking real hard.
Yeah, it's almost...
Feel it out. See what's going on here, bud.
That thing's going to catch on fire if you keep running out there because it's hot, whatever is dragging.
He says it's shaking real hard. It's almost like he's broke a shock or something. It's just dragging. He's going up the racetrack right there.
Okay, keep going.
Splitter split in the middle. See the splitter broke in the middle?
Something dragging from your left front.
Yeah, right in the center.
Right dead in the center. Right dead in the center.
Currently fourth in the championship standings. And was leading this race.
And it's the splitter dragging, bud. It's just the splitter.
You know, the problem with this is look at this thing. If you get a good shot of it again like that, that was a good shot. The thing is going to drag down to absolutely nothing and break in half. It just goes away. And when that thing goes away, all the downforce you ever dreamed of goes away because it's got nothing. Yeah, which isn't much to begin with, but he's got nothing. So, I mean, this is, and we've talked about this so many times with this car. You know, if you're in a wreck, this is why these guys try to fix the splitters so much.
You see, and the thing about it is, no, it's
center
broke.
section's
It's already broke there.
Yeah.
When he comes into pit lane, you see the middle brace right there.
Yeah.
Is broken off. And what's going to happen? I guess it's just going to be really, really tight.
Yeah.
It's not going to turn in a, what was it, 20-acre field?
Yeah.
Yes.
The brace broke, bud, and the front of the splitter started dragging.
I think he thought he had a flat because the car began to not turn or do something different because the splitter had broken.
Yeah.
And that and I know that's hard for you people at home to believe that the aero can change enough to make the driver feel like you have a flat tire. But at these speeds, any little variation in what you're comfortable with, what you're feeling back in the cockpit, any variation at all, it makes you think tire. What's the first thing? Tire, transmission, whatever it may be.
And now it's broke off in the center, so that car is just going to get worse and worse as he goes. It's just not going to want to turn for him.
Having that in the middle like that is having the grill knocked out of it, like having the grill knocked out of this thing. It's just catching air up under the car. And the more air it catches up under the car, the more the front will not turn.
He's 30th, one lap down, Ralph.
And Kyle's exactly right. He thought he had a left front tire going flat, and that's because of the feeling he got out of that splitter, Kyle. You're exactly right. When they came down, they checked the tires. Everything was fine. There was a big bubble on the left front, but that's just from when he came sliding to a very aggressive stop on pit road. He just extremely flat spotted the tire. But these Goodyear Eagles were just fine.
Hey, Larry McReynolds.
Yes, sir.
I know you like turning bad luck into good luck. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. You can almost see in the middle that the splitter's almost completely gone. I mean, it's been rubbing so much, the whole section in the middle. And what I've been trying to watch is his lap times. And what's impressive, but I think a lot because of those four fresh tires, his lap times are still comparable to what Kyle Busch, the leader's running. But I'm afraid something's going to come off there, and it's either going to cut his tire down or someone else's tire.
Yeah, this thing is it's going to get worse for him. It's the best it's going to be right now. Every lap, it's going to get worse and worse.
And this race is being run at a record pace. Average speed for the track record coming in, 136.8. We're over 141 miles per hour now for the average speed of this race, Larry.
Now, Bill, I don't think it's going to last for 46 laps.
But
the good timing of that happening was when he came to pit road, Bob Osborne said 4 tires, make sure it's full of fuel, because when he pitted, it was 55 laps to go, and they should be able to go the distance on that fuel. The rest of our guys will have to come in here in about 15 to 20 laps for what might be that final stop.
Yeah.
And Larry, a little while ago, talked about Kurt Busch. Report from pit road, he has dropped a cylinder and has fallen back to the 26th position, still on the lead lap. This is for second. Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson. This is about a second and a half behind race leader Kyle Busch.
You know, and a minute ago when they went to Chad, and Chad said, just hang in there, the car will come to you on the 48. You're one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He was at that time by about a tenth and a half, maybe 2/10.
Marty.
And Bill, they've really done a great job of making this car better throughout the night. And the only thing Jimmy said for this next stop, all I want is to be faster at the beginning of the run. Give me that. We maybe can win this thing.
Battling for second. Kyle, what are you doing tomorrow? You got any plans?
I'm riding a motorcycle. I'm leaving Traverse City, Michigan, and headed over to Elkhart Lake. Then I'm going to the Harley Museum on Monday. I'm excited about that. What are you going to do?
I'm going home and lighting the smoker.
I got a sidecar, baby. I got a sidecar.
Well, maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Charity ride starts tomorrow. Watch for Kyle at a town near you. Under caution for debris with 41 laps to go. Pit road is open. Carl Edwards has been on and off of pit road for repairs. Here they come. We start with Ralph.
Well, David Reagan in the 6 car is hoping that maybe this could be the night where they could get this car up and over the edge. They've been very happy with it. They're just making small air pressure adjustments to the car. They keep tweaking it and getting it closer to the front, Matt.
Kevin Harvick working on his 3rd top 5 finish of 2008. The team goes to work. Harvick said the car halfway through that run had just gotten too tight in the center of the corner. Todd Berry will fix it with air pressure. Lindsay.
Matt, if all goes well, this is the last stop for the 83 team of Brian Vickers. He said his car's still loose off, 4 tires, an air pressure adjustment, another round of wedge, and a windshield tear-off. Please, said Brian. Marty.
Lindsay, Kyle Busch's crew holds serve on pit road with another outstanding stop. 4 tires and no changes. Kyle said, don't touch a thing. I found something that helped me at the end of this run. So no changes on that 18 car, Bill.
And that graphic tells you some guys trying some pit strategy to get up front. The 70 car, Leffler is the lucky dog under caution in Chicago. Checkered flag in the air for Kyle Busch. He wins at Sonoma. This race has ended. NASCAR has declared the race over. Kurt Busch is the race winner.
Oh, there it is.
Now
Oh,
the
my
record.
goodness. That's incredible.
Now the caution flag is out. The winner of the Coke 0400 is Kyle Busch. Busch brothers have won the last 3 races. Only the Flock brothers have won 4 in a row. They did it in 1952 and 1955. Kyle Busch is the race leader, half a lap from going back to green. 16 drivers have had 7 or more wins in the first 19 races of a season. 10 of them have raced on to win the championship. Ralph?
Well, the 99 of Carl Edwards came down pit road. They put a lot of tape up in between that brake and the splitter at the very front of the nose of the car. And the reason why they did that, as you can see here, they're shoving all that tape up under there. They're trying to cut down on the amount of air that flows through there and pulls that splitter even further down and away. That's where these guys really start to feel things go bad.
Be 37 laps to go when they get the green flag. It's Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman with 2 tires, Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Elliott Sadler with a 2-tire stop. Then Brian Vickers, Jeff Gordon is 9th, and then David Reagan in 10th. So it's Newman in the 12 with a 2-tire stop. Same for Elliott Sadler in the 19.
They worked on that 48, Andy. He could be up there real quick. Jimmy's car looked like it was really good on the longer runs.
He was coming. He was coming at the end of that last long run.
Another guy that's been on the move, Matt Kenseth, restarted 11th.
But he's got to get through this mess, because the longer he runs side by side and messes around with these guys, Kyle Busch is going to just set sail.
You got the 12 and the 28 running side by side, and you know Jimmy Johnson's just chewing on the steering wheel right now, wanting to get around these guys because they're disrupting the air just enough that he can't make a move.
And Quapple in that 28 is the first car 1 lap down, Marty.
Bill talking about those changes that Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus debated about, and they debated for a long time. They decided to leave the car alone. make no changes on that stop because they thought Jimmy was so good at the end of that run that if he could get through this traffic, this, though, is what they're worried about, being bottled up in lap traffic.
Yeah, that'd be a big if.
And they're getting killed in lap traffic right now because Kyle Busch has just got to clear a racetrack. And he can run anywhere he wants to. Jimmy's having to position the car to not only go where he wants to, but to counter what the guys in front of him are doing.
And Kyle Busch, that last lap was over 2 seconds in front of Jimmy Johnson. So, yeah, he's got to clear this stuff. He gets by one car now, the 12 car Newman.
This is the last thing the rest of the field wanted to see. Kyle Busch in front, in clean air, unchallenged. Two tires not working for Newman. Here comes Tony Stewart in that 20 car. Trying to get inside of Biffle in the 16.
Oh, man. Stewart pushed up the racetrack on that one. Almost clipped Biffle.
Look at Sadler charge up.
Yeah, well, Tony was he was still saving it coming off of turn 2. So he lost a lot of momentum. You see the 19 car Sadler now taking a look at 16.
Tony gets it back and just drives back up under the 19 car right there.
It's those tires.
Yeah.
But that makes a big difference right now.
And that shows you how much of a momentum. When Tony's momentum loses it, when he loses that little bit of momentum, it kind of just drive in on him.
Let's go on board with Tony Stewart.
Watch where the line is to Tony's left, because he goes down to the, well, we lose it out of the shot right there. But he's at,
yeah, he was saving it all that. And even Biffle got a little bit loose there. I think maybe when he came across the back of the 16, he may have got Biffle a little bit loose there.
Kyle Busch out front by 2.5 seconds now over Jimmy Johnson. Caution is out, debris turn 3.
Oh, big piece of debris there. Somebody's bumper.
Last thing Kyle Busch wanted to see, exactly what everyone else wanted to see.
All right, since the Busch brothers, I got one for you. Since the Busch brothers here are going for the record. Let's see who comes off. Oh, the 70 car.
Man, got peeled off.
Yeah, it does. Ooh.
Be able to pick that up in the garage after the race. 28 car is the lucky dog. Less than 30 to go. Hold that thought, Kyle, okay?
Sell it quick.
The LifeLock.com 400 on TNT is brought to you by Sprint, proud sponsor of the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed is beautiful. By Allstate, are you in good hands? And by Coors Light, it's the coolest thing in the hottest sport. The Coors Light pole position alert on your cell phone. Just text RACE to 42100 to sign up. And here is our Sprint Cup monster moment of the race. And we're going to give it to this debris caution here because this really sets up the charge for the final 27 laps. Because either Kyle Busch is going to overcome this caution, or this caution is going to be one of the keys to somebody catching Kyle Busch. Stay tuned to all of our in-car audio, live radio broadcast, stats, and more with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, only on the Now Network. Visit sprint.com/speed to find out more.
That's good. I think that's a good moment, man. It could change. That is a moment that can change the race for a lot of people, not just for one person, for a lot of people.
Kyle Busch was 2.5 seconds in front when the caution came out. He's the race leader. 27 to go at Chicagoland.
That was good for Jimmy. He needed to clear that 11 car
of
Hamlin to be able to hang there with Kyle.
And that was very smart and courteous of Hamlin, who's 4 or 5 laps down, to get out of the way and let the guys who are running for the lead race for the lead of this race.
Denny Hamlin had an ignition problem early in the race.
And you see him get out of the way of the 29, and that shows maturity there. He's not up there racing with those guys. But it's putting the race in the hands of the 48 and the 18. And the 48 was not in the race before that caution.
25 to go here, man.
48's looking for any line that the 18 is not using right now to see if there's any possibilities that he can find a faster groove.
But there was a moment in practice here yesterday where the 48 was in front of the 18. The 48 got out of the gas, let the 18 go by, and then ran behind Kyle, maybe to see what his line was, to size up the competition.
You know what, the 48's faster right now. If he can figure a way around him, around the outside right now, is going to be it, because Kyle Busch has been on the white line just about all night.
Every time we've seen the 18 be passed, whether it was the 99 or whoever it was, it's been to the outside, and most of the time it's been through 3 and 4.
This is for the lead, 24 to go. Kyle Busch has led 156 of the 243 laps.
I'm going to tell you, that 48 car is working off a tube. He almost turns left when he gets to the end of the corner and shoots it and runs a different line down the backstretch.
It just doesn't quite have it working right here. He's much better off of 2 than he is off of 4.
There's in-car audio and more at NASCAR.com/trackpass.
He almost diamonds the racetrack. You see him go up and then come back down and get a run down the hill right there off of turn 2.
And you can see him gaining right here because he gets such a good run off of 2. The last couple laps, here's where he struggled a little bit. 43 goes around, doesn't hit anything.
Now the caution comes out.
Out of 96 bonus.
29 cars on the lead lap. Be inside of 20 to go when we restart. Bobby Labonte in traffic.
He never got touched.
Yeah, it was running 20th when that happened. Caution is out. Another restart coming up when we come back to Chicagoland. Fantastic crowd here at the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. In 2 weeks, the Sprint Cup Series heads to Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400. Go to NASCAR.com for all your news, driver stories, and race information from Indy. The All-State 400 at the Brickyard in Indianapolis. Field lined up behind the pace car. See if they turn out the lights right about here. Leave them back on. Now they're off. Let's check with Larry.
Well, Bill, let's talk about the problem Carl Edwards in the 99 car had. And a couple of things could have happened. But if you notice this splitter, it has braces all the way across, and it's mounted underneath here with bolts. Now, it's about a ½ inch thick, and it's not a carbon fiber material. It's like MFT is what it is, a material that's not quite as strong as carbon fiber. I get a feeling that basically that maybe when the car started traveling more, when the speeds went up, this thing started rubbing, and it just finally rubbed all the material off, that finally this brace broke, and this whole center section is gone. The problem they were faced with, it comes in 2 sections, and with less than 30 laps to go, all they're looking for is a checkered flag, because this car is going to have lift instead of downforce now.
Hey, Larry.
Yes, sir.
Where are you going to put all that stuff after tonight?
In my bedroom.
I'm sorry I asked.
I'm sure the family will be glad to hear that. Yes. Sure, the family.
Good job down there, buddy. The 26 of Jamie McMurray is the lucky dog, so he comes around back on the lead lap. The most laps led by a driver in a race here at Chicagoland, 160 by Tony Stewart. In July of 2004, he won the race. Kyle Busch has led 160. He will break that record when he crosses the line this time. When we get the green for the restart, be 19 laps to go, and Jimmy Johnson trying to rope in Kyle Busch. Harvick is third, Biffle, Newman, and Stewart. lot of talk about the restarts after last week at Daytona as well.
Yeah, you know, restarts are different on a track like this than they are at a Daytona or a Talladega. And you know, the leader has the right, and that's the way it is. And you know, until they come up with a better rule than that, that's just the system we work under. He was slow. He was slow down there.
But these cars, yes, absolutely. But these cars accelerate a little bit better than they do on a super speedway too.
Great point. When you mash the accelerator, it sets you back in the seat. It's like being at your local go-kart track when you mash the accelerator on a restrictor plate. You get up, start bouncing in the seat trying to get the thing to move forward.
Jimmie Johnson has not led a lap tonight.
He's got position right there.
Trying to
force your horsepower. Come on, horsepower. You're going to lead this lap.
That's impressive right there.
Maybe not. Nope. Kyle Busch just edged him out across the line. But now Kyle's running where he doesn't want to be running.
You're clear. Awesome.
That's up on the high side.
Now Jimmy's cleared him, and Jimmy's got the clean racetrack now and the clean air. And we've seen this happen to Kyle a couple of times tonight, that on a couple of restarts when somebody would get around him, the 99 car, Tony, whoever it may be, would put some distance on him.
16 to go.
5 bonus points for Jimmie Johnson. Kevin Harvick runs third in Pennzoil Chevy.
And Kyle needs to be watching his mirror because that 29 car is coming.
Sixth and seventh spot there, Vickers and Tony Stewart.
Jimmie Johnson is the race leader. Last green flag commercial break right here. Then back to the checkers on TNT. The LifeLock.com 400 at Chicagoland Speedway on TNT has just 11 laps to go. And Jimmie Johnson is out front of Kyle Busch by a little more than 1.2 seconds. Kevin Harvick is third, then it's Greg Biffle and Brian Vickers, the top 5. Marty Snyder on Jimmie Johnson.
Well, Bill, Jimmy and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and he said, I honestly feel like going for the 2007 championship hurt our new car development. The first time Jimmy was in a new car on a track a mile and a half or bigger was January testing. He said, I was 4 or 5 months behind everyone. So they have worked tirelessly, testing many, many times to get their program better at the intermediate tracks. They went to Charlotte, they led, lost an engine there, went to Michigan, led, had a transmission problem there, and this is the fruition. Jimmy told the guys right before the race, he said, we've been knocking on the door. Tonight might be the night we knock it down.
Hey, Marty, does he say anything about his water temperature?
No, not yet. Not a word. Should he be concerned about it, Wally?
Well, he's got some debris on the grill, Marty.
Not a word. The only thing on the radio the last few times between the 48 and the 18 was Kyle Busch saying, that 48's getting a lot smaller out of my front windshield.
But you know what, the 48 at this point in time, that thing may peg. He's not coming in.
No.
He is not coming in at this point. Here's my man Kenseth, has come from 30th after cutting a tire and being a lap down, back to fight for a top 5, top 6 here.
That's 6th and 7th. Kenseth gets 6th from Tony Stewart.
Yeah, I think Matt needed maybe one more caution to get up there and erase all that, and he could have been fighting for the win tonight.
Yeah, to get his track position back in front of those guys.
Larry?
Hey, Wally and Kyle, you don't think this racetrack is getting some grip? And, of course, we know these guys are getting up on the wheel. Look at your scoring monitor. The 48 car, Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick at 29. They just ran their fastest lap of this race right after that restart on lap 250 and 251. Speeds are going up, but I think the adrenaline is too.
Yeah, this is when it comes time. This is payday time. So it's like you say, Larry. Everybody gets up on the wheel. There's more grip. There's a little bit of everything.
Still climbing. Make sure you got your engine fan on.
These guys are fighting for points.
You want to point out that Ryan Newman is running in the 9th position. Tough week for Ryan. His good friend Bill Passwater, who works at Penske Racing, passed away this week. Ryan has a sticker on that car. All the Penske Racing cars in the various motorsports venues running a sticker for Bill Passwater this weekend.
6 to go, 6 to go.
Car blowing up on the front stretch. Caution is out. Looks like the 38, David Gilliland.
Man, you don't see him blow up like that anymore.
No.
You're fine, man. Just as low as you can.
He did a good job of getting off the racetrack, though, so it's not going to be a long caution. We're not going to. There's not a lot of concern about that, but pulling down the racetrack.
Man, look at it come out of the pipes.
It's like he's not cut it off yet. He's still coming.
Well, he's got to get back.
That's true.
Window net down.
You can do the garage here, bud. Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson has now tied Kurt Busch for the most races led in 2008, 14 of them. Johnson is the race leader. Kyle Busch is second. Then it's Harvick, Biffle, and Vickers the top 5. Kenseth has the 6th spot. Then Tony Stewart, David Reagan in 8th. Brian Newman is 9th. And a call to Martin Truex in the 1 car started 19th. Worked his way to 10th. Of course, that team hit with the penalties and the suspensions. They're appealing it after their car failed inspection at Daytona prior to practice last week. We are under caution. Take a quick break here. Come back. See how it all plays out at Chicagoland on TNT. The TNT race family at Chicagoland Speedway. A big pat on the back to our crew for our 6th race summer series. I'll tell you, a lot of these guys had to really scramble here on Thursday night. Camera guys, the production people, all the support personnel when that weather came through. And our thanks to them for 6 great races. Field has gotten the 1 to go. When they get back next time, there'll be 2 laps to go. There's Johnson, the race leader, then Kyle Busch, Harvick, Biffle. You can see the racers, the drivers. Boy, been a heck of a run for Matt Kenseth. David Reagan maybe getting the top 10 as well. Half a lap from going back to green.
This is where somebody's going to dive in really deep, going into turn 1 this lap.
It's going to, you know, the thing is, you know, somebody's going to try somebody on the outside. They're going to get 2 wide. They're going to get 3 wide.
They're going to get 4 wide.
And your restart's got to be right on.
Right dead on.
It's a single file restart, and this does not count as a green-white checker. 2 laps to go. We have not reached the scheduled conclusion of the race.
Although it is a green-white checker, it doesn't count as a green-white checker.
It doesn't count
as not a green-white checker.
It does not count as a.
Okay,
don't confuse me. Watch the restart. 2 to go. When they get to the line, Kyle Busch right on Johnson's bumper.
I would say in Johnson's bumper.
That's a great shot right there, man, on a restart.
Johnson low, Busch in the high groove.
Oh, man, I told you somebody was going to drive in deep.
And
the 18 did it.
And the 18, who's not been to the high side all night long, it seems like, goes to the outside.
Now the 48's got to drive in deep. This is where there may be some contact right here.
Look at him wash up the racetrack. Hang on. And 29's lurking right there behind him.
White flag in the air, last lap.
That was good stuff.
That was great race right there. You think Kyle Busch doesn't want to win races?
No kidding.
Here comes Harvick.
He wanted that thing.
Keep taking.
Here comes Jimmy Johnson back on the outside.
Oh, he'll drive it in deep going into 3. He's got 1 more shot.
Jimmy got that run down the backstretch.
Here it comes. Oh, and he did drive it in deep, but he's got no place to go with it.
But he gets in, and you see the car skate up the racetrack. That's a typical air push.
Oh, man, that 48's loose.
Off of turn 4, Kyle Busch sweeps at Chicagoland, his 7th win of the season.
And that was all Kyle Busch right there. Okay, we can talk cars, we can talk anything you want to, but that was all driver right there. That was incredible.
You just heard it. Unbelievable.
All year, buddy. All year.
He has the head of a racer and the heart of a racer.
Yeah. Things are not over till they're overdue. They've got to take opportunities like that and turn them into championships. You just took advantage of a great opportunity right there, man.
LifeLock is proud to congratulate Kyle Busch for locking up victory tonight in the LifeLock.com 400. Riding on the bumper of the 48. You have to make sure you're hanging on tight here. Let's take a look.
He just clobbers the back of this car. And Kyle pretty much knows he's got one shot to get this done.
And the 48 got a good restart, and Kyle anticipated. You see him run into him, and Kyle anticipated the restart, and that's what you have to do when you're second, third, or fourth.
Outside.
Oh, stuck in the mud.
That's how hard it rained here over the last few days. And the fans are going to love this.
I tell you who's going to love it. My man Kyle will just get out and wave at him. He won't care.
He might bow.
He won't care, man.
Lindsay?
Steve Addington, I mean, we keep meeting you to talk about victory lane. Steve, when you see your driver pull a move like that, what is going through your mind?
That's an awesome race car driver. I'm going to tell you what, everybody on this race team never gives up. That was pretty cool right there. That kid's pretty special.
All right, Steve, go celebrate. He says, just come on, let me go. All right, Bill.
And they need him to help push. Okay, how did Kyle Busch get there in the middle of the infield here at Chicagoland? He's going to celebrate. Looks like one of your divots, Kyle.
Oh, that hurt. That hurt. That looks like your divot right there.
See you next week. The LifeLock.com 400 from Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet is brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. By Vitamin Water. It works for Carl Edwards. Try it. By Subway Restaurants. Subway. Eat fresh. And by Sprint, proud sponsor of the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed is beautiful. Last weekend's sweep was at California in February of 2007 by Matt Kenseth. Until tonight, Kyle Busch pulls the sweep at Chicagoland. Some bows to the crowd, and then off to victory lane. Let's go down to Marty Snyder, who's standing by in victory lane with the race winner, Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch unstraps himself from the M&M's car, and what an impressive performance on those last 2 laps, and what a run on that green-white checkered. Win number 7, that's how you celebrate right there. This crew's a little used to this of late. High fives for the entire crew who helped push him out of the mud, I might add. That was their important role there at the end of the race. KB, is that the hardest you've driven for 2 laps in your entire life?
I got to thank these guys. You know, I gave up.
They didn't get down on you. You gave up, didn't you?
I did. I gave up on myself. You know, just didn't think I can do that. I've watched Jimmy Johnson do that a few times, and I don't know how I did that, but this M&M's Toyota team was just phenomenal tonight, and great pit stops all night. Every single time we came down pit road, we had fast pit stops. So got to thank the fans that are here, Interstate Batteries, Norm Miller, and M&M Stickers Combos. Everybody that makes this so fun, the Sprint, everybody at Sprint people, and this is a dream season, man. I just cannot believe this. This is just, can you believe this?
I can't believe it, Kyle. But people are going to walk away from this saying, how did you do that on that last restart?
I don't know. Jimmy was going to bring us down slow. And I remember this from short track days when you watch somebody in your mirror and you creep up on them and then you stop and then they'll go on you.
Yeah.
Well, I just went. I pushed Jimmy Johnson to go. So I was just like, let's go, man. Here we go. And that was the saving grace right there. Was a good start, a restart. And then I just had to go to the outside because he was going to block the bottom in turn 1 and 2, and it stuck for me out there. I don't know how, why, or whatever, but Steve Addington and these boys, they deserve this one here, you know. Just a great car up front all night. You know, we got back in traffic and complained about it a lot, and we got back out front. It felt good again, and then I knew when Jimmy got us there that clean air was going to be it, but luckily we had that caution. We got back by him.
You can't believe it, and I'm not going to pinch him to wake him up. Kyle Busch, his 7th win of the year. Lindsay.
Thanks, Marty. Kevin Harvick, a former winner here at Chicagoland tonight, takes home a 3rd place finish. What are your thoughts on the race tonight?
I mean, our Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet was really good all night. We thought we were in a pretty good position there at the end, just couldn't quite keep up with the 48, and the 18 got around him up on the outside there and kept him pinned down, and he couldn't keep his momentum up. But good night, just proud of everybody back at the Fab Shop, Rich and everybody that builds the bodies on our plate and all the engine shop guys at ECR. We've made a lot of gains in the last month, and hopefully we've put ourselves in position with these new cars and new engines and everything that we've got going to get some momentum, and this is what we needed tonight, was a good solid finish.
What were your reactions watching the 18 make that move?
Well, I really thought the 48 had the dominant car, and the 18 just kind of bonsaied in there on the outside, and it stuck, and kind of pinched the 48 up off the corner, his momentum, and he was able to just keep going. So I thought I might be in the right spot there coming in the last corner, but just came up a couple short.
Kevin Harvick, a third-place finish. Bill.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks, Kevin.
Take a look at the unofficial results from tonight's LifeLock.com 400.
Look at Brian Vickers.
Yeah.
Good run there in 6th spot.
And Matt Kensington, 7th, come back. I mean, that's hard to believe. He passed more cars than anybody tonight. David Reagan, we talked to early.
Yeah, watch that 6 car.
Yeah.
Truex had a good run. They needed it.
Elliott Sadler comes home 12th. He had the best run.
Emotional run for Ryan Newman, and a top, let's see, Gordon was 11th, top 11 finish for him.
Ruderman's there in 14th, and we didn't talk about him all night, and that's about where he run most of the night, so he had a good solid run.
Earnhardt got to 16th, and that was a battle for him just to get there after starting 2nd, taking 4 tires on an early pit stop.
JJ 24th and starts in the garage area.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And comes back from that penalty. And there may be something on that on Tuesday.
I'm betting the over on that.
There could be. There could be.
Kurt Busch had a good run going.
Carl had a good run going. Carl had a pretty dominant car until the splitter goes away.
And Michael Waltrip had some bad luck. Ended up sliding through the grass. So let's go back and take another look at the last restart.
And Kyle pretty much explained it. He said, look, Jimmy's was going to drag us down. I just went, and he did. You see him go right there and get in the Jimmy, and then he pushes Jimmy. So he has the momentum. It's like bump drafting, like we talk all the time. Kyle just bump drafted to the start.
But right here's the move. When you go to the outside, and you've got to hope that car is going to stick, because he just laid in the throttle there, and it did. And the 48 got a little bit loose, getting off of 2, bobbled just a little bit to give Kyle right up next to him.
And then when the 48 goes in here, he goes in, and you can see that wiggle right there. And when it wiggles, it's over with. Yep. That's the 2 wiggles that put the 18 gone.
And a little while ago, Matt talked to Jimmy Johnson.
What an exciting finish. Jimmy Johnson almost took home a Chicago victory. You got him on the restart with 19 to go, and then on the last restart, take us on a run with you on what took place.
You know, I passed him on the outside, and I should have known better to give him the top. Pretty frustrated with myself. On that restart, he timed it just right and rolled up on me. And I really thought that I had a better car and I could just roll it around on the bottom of 1 and 2 and get away from him. And when I heard the spotter say, look, and I knew I was in trouble. All he had to do was break that plane and stop me on the straightaway. And for a 2-lap shootout, that outside always wins. So, you know, just didn't make the best decision there on the restart. Apologize to my guys and Lowe's and everyone. But the bright side of it is we had a great race tonight, great race car, great stops. And, you know, we showed that we can beat that 18 tonight. You know, before that, we were running away and gone with it. So I just made a mistake there on the restart.
And another great positive about tonight, you raised a lot of money for Racing for Relief.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I'm sitting here so mad at myself. I forgot about that. But that's a very good cause, and I'm very thankful for those to participate in that and raise that money. And also want to wish Rick happy birthday. We came close, boss. Sorry.
Jimmy Johnson, 2nd in Chicago.
Okay, Matt, thanks a lot. Show you the unofficial point standings, and the top 6 remain unchanged. The lead is now a whopping 262. A lot of movement up and down from 7th on back. All that'll be at NASCAR.com, and they'll have more coming up on the Jack Daniels post-race show. Want to thank Jimmy and Andrea and Andy, Barb, Ron, and Fig, the crew in the booth.
Kyle.
Thank you guys, man.
That's right.
Thank you to the fans that sat in their living room and listened to us.
And had to listen to us.
Yeah, thank you guys, man.
CharityRide.com or something, isn't it?
CharityRide.com, but thank to all the fans that watch us on TNT.
And you and I have a lot of work to go, right?
Yes, we do.
Coming up in the East, a special presentation of Saving Grace. In the West, it's the movie Stealth. The Jack Daniels post-race show is at NASCAR.com. Thanks to a terrific crew for 6 really fun races. We really enjoyed it. Congratulations to Kyle Busch. Enjoy the rest of the season. Good night from Chicago.